Israel stole Iran's clouds. I can't believe I just admitted that, but it's true. Iran is suffering a terrible drought, and officials there accuse Israel of diverting the rain clouds. I was a senior advisor to Israel's prime minister, and I was actually in charge of this operation. It started a few years back when we sent hundreds of Mossad agents into Tehran to blow really hard at the sky. We were as shocked as anyone, but the clouds actually shifted. Next, the Mossad agents all clapped at once, simulating thunder. It tricked the lightning into sparking itself, which crippled Iran's electricity grid. Lastly, our agents sucked in air simultaneously and brought the rain clouds back to Israel. Thus ended Operation Blame the Jews. Now that our secret plan has been exposed, we'll need to think of new, innovative ways of manipulating nature. I probably shouldn't expose this, but it's just too incredible. At this very moment, not far from where I'm sitting, our agents are practicing simultaneous flatulence to spark earthquakes deep inside Iran. It's going to shake the entire region. Stay safe, my friends. So ridiculous.
Ooh. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the following program. I am your host, Joe Neerman, aka Good Lawgic. As we wrap up the week, which means I gotta sort of empty stuff out of the tank. I got all sorts of stuff in the tank. I don't like leaving the tank with stuff in the tank. I like driving until we're just completely out of gas. I load up the tank. When I refer to the tank, I'm talking about I take stories, I put them aside, take stories, put them aside, take stories, put them aside. That's what I do. That's kind of like what the life of a podcaster of this type of nature is. I'm coming, delivering the news. I'm like, is this something I want to share? Where can I put this in? How will this work thematically? Is this something that I can give, which I have a little bit of an angle to? Is this something my audience needs to know? And if I think it could be, I'll throw it in the tank. But not everything makes it in there. So Thursdays, which, in case you're unaware, Thursdays are third person Thursdays. So on Thursdays, Good Lawgic works his tail off to basically try and put together a thematic show. And every once in a while, he'll splice in a little added extra, totally off the cuff, totally irrelevant to everything else that he's talking about, just because he knows that if he doesn't get it out of the tank now, it's never coming. And think of how awful that would be for society if there were stories out there that were worth your attention or worth my input, potentially, and they just never made it onto show. We got cut for time. That would be terrible. So in order to ensure that doesn't happen, Third Person Thursdays is also the day that it's throwaway Thursdays. We basically, whatever was thrown away, we recycle. It's very green. It's very green. I'm not into the whole green thing. Not really into that in general. But it's a worthwhile venture. It's a worthwhile venture when it's something that's helping enhance society. We also have a thing, a goal, which we will often put a goal up in case you're wondering. So tonight's goal is, if we manage to hit 15 super chats of yellow or higher, or rands, and that means $10 or higher, that we will tonight have a 3-hour show. Our normal 2-hour show turns into a 3-hour show with call-ins, which it's been a while. It's been a minute. You and Good Lawgic haven't chatted in a while. Good Lawgic would greatly prefer it if you refer to yourself in the third person if we get to the call-in. If we reach our threshold and we get there, which never know, sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. If we do, we have a call in, we'd be most obliged if you would refer to yourself in the third person throughout. So with that, with that, let's get where should we even start? Where should we even start? So much here for you. Okay, let's start with you're going to see this clip a bunch of times. If you haven't heard this story yet, they're calling it assault with a deadly weapon. Sorry, deadly weapon. Assault with a deadly weapon. That is what they're calling it. This is the incident. This happens, of course, in Washington, D.C. This individual here protesting the increased police presence courtesy of Donald Trump. And this is what this guy does. This is what he did. That's not, I don't hear nothing. Oh, no. Run, Forrest. Run, Forrest. Run. He didn't make it. Oh, so lame. So lame. That's not, no. Anyhow, that is salmon. The guy who was known at the time is salmon colored shirts. He has a name. We're going to let Larry Conger break it down for you, only because I happen to like the name Larry Conger. And he does a pretty effective job in 60 seconds or less. All right, fine, 65 or less.
I know you saw the video of that guy who threw a Subway sandwich at a federal agent before running off in Washington, D.C. What I bet you didn't know was that he actually was a DOJ employee himself. Yeah.
Uh-oh, that's true. That's true.
Sean Charles Dunn. It recently came out he actually was a trial attorney for the Department of Justice, and he has now been charged with a felony and is facing very serious jail time. I don't understand what it is about these people where they think they're above the law. Maybe it's because they see their own party act that way day in and day out, thinking that they can get away with whatever they want because they have convinced themselves they are the good guys. And I don't know how you can think you're a good guy when you are throwing a deli sandwich at a law enforcement officer, but I digress. Anyway, this guy took it upon himself to behave this way, and now he has since been fired from his job, and he is facing felony charges as well he should. And I can't believe I have to say this, but listen, if you're out there and you're part of the Department of Justice or any governmental agency, and you are in Washington, D.C., please do not take it upon yourself to throw a Subway sandwich at a law enforcement officer. I can't believe I have to say that, but apparently I do, because some people out there think that they are allowed to do that and there will be no consequences, and they're probably going to FA and FO themselves in the near future.
Speaking of FA and FO, speaking of that, that's exactly how Harmeet Dillon framed it. Someone said it's assault with a deadly weapon, but it's no joke to assault our law enforcement. FAFO. Now, for those of you from my age demographic who may be like, what is FAFO? What is that? And so I'm going to break down the acronym. FAFO is flying airborne. Find out. So there you go. And this guy was flying airborne. No question about it. Flying airborne. So that's what FAFO stands for. And when you see it, just know that that's basically what people are trying to say. That if you're flying airborne, you're gonna find out. So that was this guy, or as I should have shared her clip here. Here's Harmeet Dillon talking about with Benny Johnson.
You're telling me that the man in the salmon-colored shirt here is a DOJ contractor?
Yes, the man in the salmon-colored shirt with the effete gesture there of throwing a Subway sandwich was a DOJ contractor. He is
now contractor to good logic doesn't really sound like employee. To good logic, that sounds like someone who's like on retainer that they sometimes would use, which means he's not really losing his job. It means he's losing a hiring opportunity. Good logic has a good story for that. for you on that. If you want to hear a story, sometimes Good Logic feels like he regales you with too many of his stories.
No longer.
Incredible. And can you give us any further circumstance here? He's just attacking the police out of what? Blind rage, out of like anger that they
solidarity. Let me tell you something.
Yes.
You know, woke leftists all over the United States have come
Wait. What makes you think this guy's woke? What makes you think that?
to believe the rhetoric that somehow, you know, he's a white man, clearly. They're oppressors and they need to somehow pay penance for that. So they engage in stupid stunts like this. And that could have hurt somebody. That could have hit an officer in the eye and wounded them, or worse, or he could have had a projectile in there. So we have zero tolerance for that kind of nonsense. Nobody should feel comfortable attacking our law enforcement. And, you know, he's a moron and he'll pay the price for that.
Yeah. So he's going to pay the price for that. And not sure exactly what the penalty would be, but as far as losing his job, if you're a contractor who gets paid on retainer, Good Logic once had a lawyer when he was first year and fresh out of the gate, I went to my own practice, filled my time with some retainer work. So I worked for a guy on retainer, and they would call me in for per diem work, which meant, so you realize we're talking like 1999, right? So they want me to do an appearance at a preliminary conference. They gave me my first deposition like 4 days after I was admitted. No idea what the heck I was doing. So confused. Just as far as so many objections to the questions that I asked, because when law school, they don't teach you how to ask questions like a lawyer. They tell you the principles of law, but the actual practice you only learn by doing. So that was the thinking of the Peter Dinklage law firm that I was in, not its real name, but we will call it Peter Dinklage. So Peter Dinklage was a relatively small firm, and they had a lot of cases. And Peter Dinklage, the name on the door, this guy was a bit of a hothead, very arrogant, took a shine to me immediately, really seemed to like me a lot. Back then I was a snazzy dresser, which kind of impressed him, I think. At a certain point, you're sort of like, Anyhow, so they would call me in to do work for them, I don't know, 2 to 3 times per week. And that was going on for 3 months, 6 months or so. And so they would have me do depositions, and they would have me go in to cover preliminary conferences. Now, when you go in for a preliminary conference, most of you, I'm sure, do not know what that means. What that means is the first step in discovery after you get in New York, after you file a complaint, and then the other side puts in an answer, and then you buy an RJI, which is a request for judicial intervention. That's when the court assigns assigns your case to a specific judge. That judge has their calendar, and they say, okay, come on in here for preliminary conference for us to start setting up to have a discovery schedule. So, and they'll have compliance conferences after that to see how well the plaintiffs and defendants are keeping up with their discovery. So those are the conferences they have. They would call calendar. They would say, hey, they would have a whole alphabetical list, usually alphabetical, but not always, have a whole list of the 130 cases that are going to be Tuesday morning. And they all say they're starting at 9:30 a.m., but they never do. They call calendar and you have to check in usually by 10 o'clock. Which means when you're a lawyer, you show up there usually by 10 o'clock. not 9:30. That's what ends up happening. That's what most attorneys, just judging based on how crowded the room was back in the day, that's how most people would do it. Well, one day, Good Lawgic had an assignment to cover a particular case, and all his assignments were handed out by Jimmy, not Peter Dinklage. No. Not Peter Dinklage. No, it was assigned by Jimmy. Jimmy was cool and funny and a smart lawyer. Really good. Really liked Jimmy a lot. Peter Dinklage, So Jimmy would be the one who handed out my assignments. He's the one who called me. Hey, got this case, this county, this time. Here's the case. I'm gonna, go in there and it's a PC. Go in there and get it done. Okay, fine, no problem. Well, one day after I've been being there for like 6 months or so, Good Lawgic shows up for a PC at like 10:07. And waiting for calendar call, nothing's coming. Saying, what the heck's going on here? Like it's already 10:30, 10:45. So go up to the clerk. When are you calling calendar? Oh, we called that at 9:30. Oh. Well, I think I missed calendar call. Usually they would have a second calendar call. Not this part, not this courtroom, not this judge. That's just not the way he operated. So they said, oh, yeah, you weren't here, so we marked it off the calendar. Now, that kind of scared me. Not going to kid you. That kind of scared me. So I'm like, what does that mean? I said, well, if you want it back on the calendar, you're going to have to file a motion. Oh, so what that means is basically your case is cooked unless you file a motion. And the motion, it's really not a big deal, the motion. You just sort of explain what happened, why it is that you were late, and you put it in there, and they put you back on the calendar. And it's designed to basically be a little slap on the hand so you don't just like waltz in late. That's essentially what it is. Now, Good Lawgic has to call in. This is before there was an entity called Good Lawgic. But anyway, so Joe has to go in there now and call in to let Peter Dinklage's firm know what happened here. This is back in the day when there's pay phones. That's right. No cell phones, kids. So I'll never forget this. I'm in a phone booth in the courthouse and I call and I get the secretary. I say, can I talk to Jimmy? Jimmy's not. All of a sudden, the next thing I know, I say, hold on, Joe. Next thing I know, Peter picks up the phone. Now, Peter, I'm not sure if I mentioned this, can be a little bit of a hothead. A little bit of a hothead. Really like me a lot, bit of a hothead. Peter, he's like, hey, Joe, what's up? What do you got? What are you covering for us today? So I gave him the name of the case. He's like, all right, everything went okay? So I'm like, actually, so I kind of got here 10:07, and apparently it was marked off the calendar. And I think that we're gonna have to put a motion in, and don't worry, I'll cover it. I'll take care of the motion. I'll file it. He cuts me off. You son of a bitch, screaming, like yelling and yelling and yelling. How dare you? Who the F do you think you are? We assign you to go in there and do a cover. I don't have you go in there, F things up, on and on and on. I'm like, I'm really sorry. I'll take care of it. I'll fix it. I'll file papers. He's like, you can't fix it. You don't know what the first effing thing you're doing. You just came out of law school 10 minutes ago. You think I'm going to put my case back in your hands, that you're going to cover this case? You're fired. You're fired. F you. What the F is wrong? On and on, yelling at me. And I was like, look, Peter, I screwed up. I know. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'll take care of it. He's like, you can't take care of it. Why the F would we hire you to go in? And screaming and and I'm looking at my phone like it's just yelling and yelling and yelling and yelling and yelling. And I've been apologizing. Nothing's working here. And when he's saying you're fired, you're fired, you're fired, which is why I brought this story up. When he's going that, it's going, you're fired, you're fired. I'm thinking to myself, I don't work for you. Just like I'm a retainer. You call me when you want me. What do you mean I'm fired? Just if you would just not call me back. What does that even mean? You can't fire me. What does that mean? You can't fire me. That's what I'm thinking. Not saying that. I'm not saying that. But there's a moral to this story, which you're about to hear right now. The moral to the story is as he's going on and on and on. And if you've never been cursed at for like 3 minutes straight, you don't realize how, when you hear it, it feels like it's 4 hours because it's just expletive while you're sitting there apologizing. At a certain point, I was like, I think I've had enough of that. I've had enough of that. So did I hang up on him? No. And I said to him, was like, look, Peter, I screwed up. I apologized. I meant my apology very sincerely. I offered to fix it. You want to fire me? Fire me. Go ahead. Replace me with someone. I've been working for you for now six months and never made a mistake. This is the first one. If you want to fire me and replace me with someone who you think is going to be completely perfect and not human, then go ahead and do that. I did everything I possibly can here to apologize and offer to fix this situation. If you don't want to hire me back and if you want to fire me, then fire me. But at this point, I think we've said everything we need to say on this particular issue. And he just paused. It's like, all right, call Jim later and just tell him and he'll take care of the motion. I said, okay. And after that, he loved me. This guy loved me because I was being reasonable and I was standing up for myself. And I'm basically saying, look, I understand. I screwed up. I owned it. But like, what do you want from me? At this point, I screwed up. So that's a reason for you to fire me, then do that. But like, what are we doing here at this point? And before that, he liked me. After that, he had mad respect for me. He really liked me a lot after that. So, yeah, moral of the story is when you're dealing in business, there's a couple more. Number one, if you're not hired, if you're just a contractor, you can't get fired. There's no way for that to happen. You just wouldn't be retained any longer. But I understand why Hermit would say, we fired him. It basically means we cut him from the roster of people we'll potentially call in for a case. The other thing that I learned is if you foul up and you plead mea culpa and you apologize and you basically try to take accountability for it, people like you more than if it never happened. Now, I'm not recommending intentionally fouling up. Certainly. And I've never tried that as a strategy. Oh, let me screw this up. Let me break this china plate in order to apologize and offer to replace it. No, never done that. But I will say, if you find yourself in the uncomfortable position where you're working for someone and you screw up and you think, oh my gosh, if I tell this person I screwed up, I know they're a hothead. They're going to be screaming at me. I know it's going to end up being disaster. Yeah, it'll be painful for 3 minutes, 5 minutes. And then afterwards, if you accept accountability for it and they're normal, they have a brain, you offer to try to repair the situation, they're only going to have more respect for you because they recognize that you're someone who's going to be willing to be held accountable and to try and repair whatever problems that you're going to do your best. And then after that, there's nothing more you can do. So those of you who have a potentially tyrannical boss, I strongly recommend to take that rather than try to hide it or say, whatever, just accept your own accountability. I think in today's day and age, it's actually far rarer than it was in the 90s when I was working for someone else. I'm just saying it's a good strategy. And if they're somewhat normal, they likely will grow more respect for you than disrespect. So yeah, but salmon colored shirt guy is fired or not coming back anymore. I think personally, I think it's hilarious. And he's been charged with felony assault on a federal officer, as Pam Bondi says over here. If you touch any law enforcement officer, we will come after you. I just learned the defendant worked as Department of Justice. No longer, not only is he fired, he's been charged with felony. This is an example of deep state we've been up against for 7 months as we work to refocus the DOJ. You will not work in this administration while disrespecting our government and law enforcement. So there he is with his little foot long, which probably, as Joe points out, he's probably going to get a foot long in prison. I saw that. So I don't want to save that for later. That was going to be later. So there we go. So my question is, what is the charge for illegal possession of a bagel with some onion smear? Possession of 2 unlicensed hoagies. I don't know if that could be. I don't think it's assault with a deadly instrument. Like if you hit there's a deadly weapon. The difference between assault with a deadly weapon and deadly instrument, in case you're unfamiliar with this, a deadly weapon is something that is designed to be used to potentially harm people. Even if it's not something that's meant for that, like a knife, a gun. A deadly instrument is something that is not purposed for that by the manufacturers, but the person in the moment decides to take up a baseball bat. Potentially, that's an instrument. Usually not a weapon. I wouldn't think that would be a weapon. Certainly, like a candlestick, or something, or a wrench. Those are considered deadly instruments. Hard to believe that a hoagie would be qualified as a deadly instrument, because one would not think that has capacity to kill, unless it's been microwaved several times, and it's really hard, I guess. So, sent you a DM. What are your thoughts? I got lots of thoughts. Thoughts. I didn't get a chance to look at it. Haven't looked at it. I see you sent me this thing about whether Pence potentially has something to do with the Russia hoax. I don't know. I haven't looked at it. I wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be surprised. I am very pleased. I'm very proud of the thumbnail concept I came up with today, by the way. Very, very proud of it. I was a little upset with ChatGPT that they didn't compliment me on the concept, but anyhow, where was we? Let's get this started. Let's get this started. All right. There were no homeless to feed, so found another use. Nice. Are you ready for some football? Me too. If you're unaware, what Q Revere is referring to here is the Good Lawgic Fantasy Football League, which you can find over in Locals at goodlogic.locals.com, where we have our annual football league this year, looking to have 12 teams admitted in. If you're interested in participating in that sort of thing, link is pinned in the description. One of the things I'll share with you that makes this league somewhat unique is that your seeding, you can buy the seed that you want. Basically, we have an auction for each seed. If you know what I'm talking about in fantasy football, then you might understand what I'm saying. If you don't understand, there's no way you'll understand. If you don't know anything about fantasy football, you won't know what I'm saying. But when you pick your spot, instead of picking out of a hat that you get numbers, you're the 3 seed, you're the 7 seed. We have an auction where you can buy the seed, and you're spending your free agent money for the year and bidding on your seed. So this way you have control over where in the draft you pick. Now, if you want a choicier position, a choicier seed, you're likely to have to bid more than if you take a seed that most people are not too excited about getting. Which, if no one wants to bid at a certain point, for the last couple of seeds, we might have an auction pull out a hat for that. But it's a unique concept that I came up with roughly 20 years ago. I want to say now, at least 15, which was a way of basically taking the luck element out, or reducing the luck element, and saying, hey, you know what? If you want that choice spot, fine, you can have it, but you're going to be handicapped through the rest of the year where you have less free agent money. So JH is very happy. His new ringtone is Joe saying, no, 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 no. Last night was great and very educational. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I haven't rewatched it. I meant to rewatch that section. Did spend a long time on that. I spent over an hour going through that red heifer thing. Yeah. I feel bad that I was a little too harsh on him, I think. I was a little too harsh on him. I was actually trying to think as to, if you missed the red heifer section yesterday, I was talking about how sacrifices are never supposed to be done outside the temple, which makes this completely invalid. Today, I was rethinking that, and technically, that particular sacrifice, they would take right outside the temple and not do the slaughtering inside the temple. But still, doing it while there's no temple in existence, no. Tried to call you to stream with you, but you didn't answer. I had my homework done at 5 p.m. Eastern. I was early, LOL. Anyway, I plan on going 5 to 6 hours tonight. A redirect would be greatly appreciated. I can do that. I saw early, LOL. Anyway, I saw that you had called. I was not in a position to take your call when that happened, and I apologize for that. But I can take care of the redirect. Definitely can do that. I'm going to do that now because I think I promised you one the other day, and I forgot to actually set it up. So rather than potentially miss it, let me try to do that now. Let me do that right this second. Why not? Oh gosh, it's so hard to find your thing. YouTube does not want me to find you. YouTube can be very, very difficult. And if your stream isn't up and ready yet, I'm gonna be a little bit disappointed. Oh, you are going. All right, there you are. Okay. Well, I'm setting up the redirect now. Save. All right. What if the officer was gluten intolerant? Yeah, that would be fun. It's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. But I want to focus on how bad things are in DC or not. I have a whole bunch of links on what's going on in DC. So, links are very slow today. Very slow. Check this out. As to like the need for Trump to come into DC.
Than white residents and those with high crime than white residents and those with high.
Washington Post admitting that there are stark divides on lines of race and income in the poll, where DC Mayor Bowser approval rating covers Trump worries emerge polls found. But the black women are among the most concerned, 65% saying crime is a very or extremely serious issue compared with 82% who said the same last year. Yeah, massive improvement there, right?
Higher incomes. As they were last year, black women are among the most concerned, with 65% saying crime is a very or extremely serious issue, compared with 82% who said the same last year. Rev, I just bring this up just to say there are a lot of, I'll just say it, white progressives who you've talked about and I've talked about, who sometimes think they're trying to help certain segments of the society, and they have no idea where they are. Well, right now in Washington, D.C., black women especially are deeply concerned about crime in their city. And I think it would behoove the Democratic Party to figure out how to build a partnership with the president, with the mayor, to make Washington a more secure city for the 91% of Washington residents who are saying today that crime is a serious problem.
Now, if you haven't been watching If you don't know Al Sharpton, back in the days when he was 400 pounds, which he was back in the 80s, maybe not 400, but certainly well over 3. And at that point, he built his career on looking out for the black community. He built his career on Tawana Brawley. He built his career on worrying, his concern for the black community. Since he became this new caricature thing, and he gets paid regularly, he has this gig. As he got older, I think he's shifted away from that exclusively. But this shift, I mean, you would think that, hey, this is something that two-thirds of black women in this neighborhood in DC say that this is a very serious concern. You would think that would be like right in the sweet spot for where an Al Sharpton would be like, yeah, it's a really big problem. This really has to be cleaned up. Where does Al Sharpton go?
Well, it goes to the situation and problem that I've said to you, and you and I have discussed before, that people are talking for people they're not talking to. There is a concern among many blacks, if not most, and many residents in Washington, D.C. about crime. We have an office of National Action Network there, so I'm familiar with it. I go in and out. I talk to the people that work for NAN there, led by a woman, a black woman. But the question becomes how Trump is handling it.
How Trump is handling it. He's bringing in National Guard and helping bolster up so that there's more of a police presence. How he's handling it? What the hell? What are you talking about?
I think the problem is not that there's an argument about we need to deal with crime, even though the data says it's going down.
The data.
The perception and the reality is there.
So when you say the perception and the reality means that the data says one thing, but the reality is very different from what your crooked data says.
The question is, Donald Trump, the only convicted felon to ever sit in the White House.
Not relevant. Not relevant at all. How is that even remotely relevant to this?
By the way.
Unless you're claiming that Donald Trump is, a violent felon and he's going out there mugging people in D.C. It's a pretty stupid comment. It's just it's a shameless attempt to try and deflect into something wholly irrelevant.
Pardon criminals.
Also wholly irrelevant.
Who assaulted police, who threatened the life of the vice president, and did not reach out and try to meet with the mayor and local law enforcement and say, how do we work together to end crime? He just came in, said, I'm taking over.
Because she sucks. That's why. And the last time, whenever he's tried dealing with her, she didn't want his help.
And then announced I'm going to other cities, all of whom have black mayors, Los Angeles, Oakland, Chicago, New York. I'm going after all these cities, not one Republican city, not one white mayor.
I defy you to find a white Republican mayor in a city in America. Do it. Don't Google. Don't use AI. I want you. I defy any. I'm watching the chat right now. I want to see one person be able to name a white mayor of a city that has more than 500,000 people. White Republican mayor. Name one. Go. There's no such thing as a Republican city. Is that true? Miami has a Republican mayor? Nice. Really? Is he white? Is he white? Idiot. This guy. Now I gotta check out. Francis Suarez. Yeah, okay. Nope. Look, it's like a joke when he
So
says this.
for people to suspect him and his motives and the way he does it is the problem. I think what leadership there should do is what.
So, like the classic race baiter he is, he's trying to make this like he's being racist against black mayors when there only are black mayors. So maybe he hasn't changed that much because he was always not actually about solving problems, just about complaining about racism.
That Bowser said they're willing to sit down with the administration and anyone else should and say, let's deal with the problem. But don't become the problem. And don't tell us on one hand, you can sit January 6th and watch people beat up cops while you're sitting in the White House doing nothing, and then come back 5 years later and say, I'm taking over the city.
And Rev, as you have spoken so often about communities of color that often will welcome more public safety efforts, but also sometimes have distrust of some of the police officers.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So a bunch of things pop in here. So let me get this out of the way. Other sports should do what MLB does, allow to go above the salary cap, but you get taxed and that money is paid to the last place teams to better them. That's a concept. If Good Logic tells you that he came up with this concept long before MLB did, would you believe him? It happens to be true. Called into a sport. I used to call into sports talk shows, and I suggested this to what was his name? Bob Kemp? I think so. Yeah. When my children were infants. Viva gave Good Logic a shout out in his interview with James O'Keefe that came out today. Let's go an extra hour. Did he really? That's so nice of him. That's really kind. Thank you, Viva. And thank you, Brian. Brian, who hit with the $10 and, oh my God, look at that, 20. Who did Brian bring into the following? Who did you bring in? Who did you bring in here? The following people were gifted memberships into the following program and to become new followers, not of me, right? Because Joe is not the leader of the following. So we're clear on that, but you should be expressing your gratitude to Brian Oldenkamp for giving you the gift of life ultimately, because self-improvement is what life is about. And the following is not at all a type of cult. It's just a community of like-minded individuals who are interested in self-improvement through community, unity, learning, and thinking. So who's our new followers? Well, that would include you, Shelly Anderson 3010. If I call out your name, it's probably appropriate for you to say, hey, Good Logic just called out my name. So I should probably say thank you, Brian. Chris Griffin, have to me 8105. Fumo Fu 1974. Dissident Porcupine 4. Doc Simam. Cindy Bowman 9972. Oh wow, it's been a while since she got gifted. Trainees 9267. Philip Coggins 9512. We got a bunch of numbers tonight. The other Gygax, Prince V1 Best 166, Sui Generous, Iowa Backyard Cam, Bruholic 101, Court Vadict. Court TV Addict. Court TV Addict 1097. As well as Jonathan Daston, Trump Vance, Dumb Sum 19 Able, Dog Backwards 9547, T Little, all of them brought into the following. Wow, quite a fine group of individuals that you brought to us, Brian. God bless you. Thank you so very, very much. Genuinely appreciate your support, brother. I'm Mayor Pro Tem, but city is 5,000 population. Hey, nice. Nicely done. JH knows everything. JH knows everything the guy was saying last night is true because they just opened the Red Heifer Steakhouse in Shipley, on June 6, 2025, with a sister store in Jerusalem. Look it up. It's true. Surely they're not serving you sacrifices, right? Right? They might be calling it the Red Heifer. I believe you. I think I've heard of that restaurant, the Red Heifer. I will. Good logic will tell you this. See, the reason that they're calling it that is obviously it's got the biblical reference to it. The name of a restaurant is so important. I actually went with the family today, and we were talking about how some restaurant names just make you think of food and make you hungry. Up here in upstate New York, they've got like these different places like Buckets. Just makes you think of like a bucket of chicken, or Crunchies. These are good names. Red Heifer, also good name, because when I picture that, I just picture like this fine steak, which is just going to be like, the juicy red meat. And then I was thinking, well, that's how I eat it. I like having it like black and blue. If I want to stick my fork in it and hear the cow scream, "Ow!" That's yeah. It should be like blood red. My in-laws will not touch it if it's like that. Yeah, when I have a barbecue, I gotta just burn that steak and burn it and burn it and burn it some more and burn it some more and burn it some more. So yeah, I don't understand that, because when you burn meat, everything tastes exactly the same. But red heifer to me sounds amazing. Can't imagine my in-laws ever eating there. Yeah, Democrats remind that public every chance you get that you try to prevent the 2024 election from taking place by calling Trump a felon. Yep. That's right, Democrats. Remind the public that you tried calling him a felon. That's the only reason he got that title. Grok says 5 big cities are Republican mayors. You see, you had to use Grok. You had to use Grok. Dallas, Fort Worth, Oklahoma City, Fresno, California, and Mesa, Arizona. Assume you mean Republican white mayors. Roughly 10 years ago, someone mentioned a statistic that there were 0 cities in the country which had 1 million people and a Republican mayor. So I guess I'm not sure if these cities would qualify. I'm not sure if Dallas certainly has over 1 million people, but not sure like Fresno or Mesa, Oklahoma City. Well, you got to sell the blemished ones somewhere. I guess you got to sell them somewhere. That's true. Kimmy Hunt is trying to stay awake. It's calling for the 3rd hour. Kimmy Hunt knew Good Logic would blow his top when he watched the Red Heifer video. Pray for peace tomorrow. That's right, tomorrow. Donald Trump is on his way to Alaska to meet with Vladimir Putin to try and resolve peace in the Middle East, in Eastern Europe, and hopefully he's successful. Though kosher requires moving the blood. That is true. That is true. It's a very good question you're asking. The way we remove the blood is we salt the meat. After they slaughter the cow and take out all the meat parts, before you can freeze it, you have to salt it. First, you rinse off the outside. Then you put salt on it. You let it drain out for like a half hour to an hour, I think. And then you rinse it off again. And that's the salting process. The idea of the salt is the salt draws out the blood. So that is true. We salt our meat in order to drain out the blood, unless it's being fried. If it's being fried, then we won't do that. And liver has to be fried, like grilled, not put in a pan. You put liver in a pan, because liver is considered something that has too much blood to ever possibly draw out. In fact, you're not allowed to salt it. If you salt it, you're just going to make it worse. So yeah. So we actually it's got a different name from blood. Once you complete the salting process, we call it sear, tzadi yud resh, sear, which is widely defined as just meat juice as opposed to blood. So it might look bloody, but it's not actual blood under Jewish law. Good question. There you go. People throw at me questions that I wasn't expecting. Uzelian says, Joe, one of the cities next to me won. Maddie Parker in Fort Worth has one. Nice. Well done, Uzelian. Dallas was a black Democrat about 2 years ago. He changed parties Republican is why he has one. But he's black. Fort Worth, she ran as Republican and she's white. All right. How bad is the crime there? Also, it's such a stupid way to try and frame it, which is obviously based on let me try and stir up racial tensions. People make me sick. People make me sick. This wasn't what I wanted here. Where do I want to put this? I'm going to put this aside. Put that aside. Other people are starting to complain about just how bad the city is and recognizing the need to have actual police presence there.
And I live in Washington. This is personal for me. Many people are frustrated with crime that we see, particularly committed by juveniles in the city of Washington. People are frustrated, Willie, that when they go to CVS to buy deodorant, that they have to get it from behind locked plexiglass, right? But the response here, and let me say this, right? These are not just random anecdotes. What we see in Washington Post polling, among others, is that roughly half of DC residents, mostly half of DC residents, view this as a serious problem or an extremely serious problem. And I live in Washington.
So there you go. There you go. Even MSNBC is forced to own it that, hey, this really is an issue. And in case you're trying to believe, you still think that maybe crime is down? No. Not only have they been lying about it, but when there was a whistleblower who came out about this issue, Charlotte Josu came out in 2020 and revealed that they were lying about their statistics, downgrading crimes so that things when they would, instead of having them properly reported, she got punished for her whistleblowing and sued the department, and they just settled. The city settled with her. Former MPD Sergeant Charlotte Josu, who in 2020 revealed commanders had since at least 2018 ordered officers to downgrade thefts and violent felonies. That's her there. I think this link here also. Nope, that's not the one. Dang it. Put that link in the wrong place. Yeah. So she actually got her settlement. Here it is. That's where it is. That's where it is. DC police sergeant exposed her superiors for misclassifying crimes to make stats look low. City just quietly settled her lawsuit. Records revealed in the suit from police sergeant Charlotte Josu showed that department leadership directed subordinates to file theft and violent crimes as lower level offenses. The District of Columbia has quietly settled a lawsuit from a sergeant who accused the MPD leaders of misclassifying offenses to deflate the district's crime statistics. Court records obtained by the Washington Free Beacon show police brass repeatedly told officers to downgrade theft cases, knife attacks, and violent assaults to lesser offenses, according to an internal MPD emails, depositions, and phone call transcripts the Free Beacon reviewed. Former MPD Sergeant Charlotte Josu sued the department in 2020, alleging that police leadership punished her for speaking out against the scheme. Josu, who joined the force after serving honorably in Iraq, accused MPD brass of attempting to distort crime statistics by downgrading a number of felonies to misdemeanors so that there will be fewer felonies in the statistics. She also provided records showing that police leaders explicitly instructed their subordinates to underclassify certain instances of theft to keep them out of the crime stats the city reports to the public. The lawsuit, as well as the city's decision to settle, calls into question the prevailing narrative presented in mainstream media outlets as President Donald Trump carries out D.C. crime crackdown. New York Times, the Washington Post, and Politico all cited data from the MPD to condemn that D.C. crime is low and Trump's crackdown is unnecessary. That coverage did not mention whistleblowers like Josu, nor did it disclose that D.C. police commander is currently on leave after the city's police union accused him of manipulating crime stats. Yeah, why fight crime when you could just pretend it's not there? Though elements of Joseph's case have previously been reported, some has not. Neither have several exhibits the legal proceedings brought to light, including a 2022 deposition of MPD Commander Randy Griffin. At the time of the events in question, Griffin oversaw DC's 4th District in the northernmost part of the city. He confirmed in his deposition that he tasked a police captain, Franklin Porter, with finding a solution to the theft problem, which was driving up the district's statistics. Look at this. Okay, so he's saying here that you told him come up with a solution for the theft problem, which is driving up the crime statistics for the district, correct? Yes, that was true. Yes. Okay, and his solution with Lieutenant Andrew Zabowski is that we're going to use the classification of TPWR, or taking property without right, correct? That's what he says. Yes, instead of calling it stealing, let's just call it taking property without right instead of shoplifting. So no more shoplifting. TPWR cases are not tracked in the DC crime reports. The plan later became the 4th District's operating procedure. On March 12, 2019, MPD Captain Sean Conboy sent an email to his officers which asked them to reclassify minor thefts as TPWR offenses. Penalty for TPWR is 90 days or a fine specified in 22-3571.01 of Section 500. Josu reported the misclassification of MPT's internal affairs, which opened an investigation later in 2019. Investigative report including the lawsuit contained transcripts of interviews with several officers who corroborated allegations that the department had a policy of downgrading charges. Sergeant Michelle Starr, for instance, told investigators that they were emailed directives from the 4th District management team, directing members to use the classification TPWR. The report shows that the number of crimes categorized as TPWR offenses grew 500% after the new directives came down. The department also had a policy of downgrading violent crimes, according to the lawsuit, with the report noting that Starr informed investigators that managers of the district routinely changed felony classifications to misdemeanors. Porter, one of the 2 officers who came up with the TPWR strategy, sent a September 2019 email to the sergeants serving under him, ordering them not to classify crimes as felonies if they fell under the categories of assault with dangerous weapon, robbery, burglary, or felony assault. Instead, he directed them to turn the matter over to their on-duty watch commander to classify the offense. If the watch commander is not on the scene, then call the watch commander's phone number, Porter wrote. I don't want to be notified that we have a Part 1 felony offense in an email. Wow. So there's no offenses. No one's allowed to report them. Josie reported one case in which a female was cut deep on an open flush cut on the side of her face with an unknown object from her forehead to the bottom of her chin. While a responding officer had called in the crime an assault with a dangerous weapon, the captain allegedly classified the offense as sick person to the hospital. Yeah, there's a sick person running this agency. Sick person to the hospital. She gets a gash from her forehead to her chin, and they call it sick person to the hospital. Josu called Conboy, the captain who ordered officers to use the TPWR strategy, about the other case on October 24, 2019. In this instance, an on-duty watch officer had downgraded an ADW to a misdemeanor simple assault. I feel like they're downgrading classification, said Josu, according to an MPD transcript of the call. The assailant strangled the victim, ended up throwing her over the couch. She had scratches on her neck. Her shirt was ripped. He threw a knife in her direction, close to her head. She moved out of the way. Conboy played down the crime, the transcript reads, saying it was only tangentially involved a knife because the knife never made contact with the complainant. It's attempted murder, but we're going to pretend that it's not anything. Josu responded the knife only missed the victim because she moved out of the way, to which Conboy asked whether Josu would classify a thrown shoe as an ADW and said he did not see any issues with the current classification. What an a-hole. Unbelievable. So let's just pretend it's like throwing a shoe when someone throws a knife. And Joseph even said that. I don't see how throwing a shoe, unless you're stomping someone with a shoe, it's considered deadly. A knife, though, yeah, deadly. It's insanity. Insanity. Conboy was appointed captain of the MPD's Research and Analytical Services branch in 2021, where he was responsible for overseeing the development of statistical reports, charts, and maps covering crime trends and patterns. He now serves as commander of the Joint Strategic and Tactical Analysis Command Center, which directs public crime alerts and assists federal agencies with intelligence gathering. He's still working there, this guy. This jackass Conboy is still working there. Conboy Porter, an attorney for Josu, did not respond to Free Beacon requests for comment. Spokesman for D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser, she had no comment. Of course, no comment. A judge dismissed Josu's case after a joint request from both parties on August 5th, the same day Trump threatened a federal takeover of law enforcement. Case had previously been scheduled to go to trial. After both parties said they had reached a settlement in principle. The MPD is one of many police departments to be accused of misclassifying crimes in recent years. Los Angeles Police Department in 2015 admitted to categorizing approximately 14,000 assaults as minor offenses between 2005 and 2012, decreasing crime rate by 7%. NYPD acknowledged in 2012 that at least one precinct had systematically underreported crime, and hundreds of retired officers say they knew of at least 3 instances in which the department had done so. So, yeah, these leftist cities are basically crap because not only is there terrible crime, but no one's going to report it. And Morning Joe Scarborough, he's kind of mad about it. He has to own it. Got to own it.
The answer to this problem for Democrats is not, oh, everything's okay. There's nothing to see here. Move along. Oh, Washington has dropped 24% or whatever in crime. Well, let me give you some other numbers. The Washington Post took a poll at late April, early May. 91% of Washington residents say crime is a problem. 91%. 51%, it is an extremely serious problem. And John Heilman, we've had people before put this in racial terms. And this is, I must say, this is one thing that I think Democrats have gotten so wrong about crime. Well, let me just read the Washington Post here. There are stark divides among lines of race and income in the poll, with Black residents and lower income residents significantly more worried about crime than white residents and those with higher incomes. As they were last year, Black women are among the most concerned, with 65% saying crime is a very or extremely serious issue, compared with 82% who said the same thing last year. The answer. Now,
the reason for that, the reason why Black women are complaining and concerned about it more is because in a Black community, they're much more likely to be robbing in a Black community. If people don't want to say this, why are Black women so concerned about it? It's because it's much less likely to be happening in a white community than is the crime is much more likely to be happening close to home. That's the reality. And what would statistics be without Harry Enton? What would they be? What would they be without Harry Enton and his faithful co-host du jour? He has his new faithful co-host every day. You're supposed to ask him his setup questions. If you're a fan of this show and you watch regularly, you might know that every time we watch Harry Enton, I'm always amused at how he has a side piece there prepared to ask him a question that perfectly sets up the next slide and make it seem as if we're having a conversation here. So, but what would you say in this circumstance? Oh, I'm glad you asked. I got a poll on that.
Yeah, I think that
that's his side piece today. No idea what her name is. I don't know who you are, but we're going to make this a little louder.
Democrats have to get it around their heads that Americans are far more hawkish on crime than they think that they are. What are we talking about? Trump's net approval handling crime. Where was he last year? He was way underwater at minus 13 points views of term number one. But look at where he is now. He's on the positive side of the ledger. He's on the positive side at plus 1 point. Americans view Trump far more favorably now on crime than they did a year ago. And while this polling doesn't take into account what's exactly happening in D.C. right now, it does take into account what happened in Los Angeles, what's happened earlier this year. And Americans, for the most part, actually view Trump favorably. Crime is one of Trump's best issues. It's one of the reasons why he wants to talk about crime, because it favors him.
It will be very interesting when you can see polling that has what's happening and rolling out right now settling in to see
if it moves
what the impact really is, because it's been a lot of messaging is what we've seen. Compare Trump to Biden in handling of crime, please.
Yeah, okay. I think this sort of gives the game away here, because Donald Trump is like Air Jordan towering over Joe Biden when it comes to their handling of crime. Look, in 2024, look at where Biden's net approval was on crime. Way underwater there at minus 26 points. It was.
Listen to what he's about to say, because this is funny.
One of Biden's worst issues. Granted, pretty much every issue was one of Biden's worst issues. And again, look at where Donald Trump is. Way.
Did you hear what he said there? You hear what he said there? Let's play it again.
The water there at minus 26 points. It was one of Biden's worst issues. Granted, pretty much every issue was one of Biden's worst issues.
Granted, every issue was one of Biden's worst issues. When the mask slips a little bit, when the mask slips. Oh my God.
And again, look at where Donald Trump is. Way above Joe Biden. What is that? That's 27 points. So Americans vastly prefer Donald Trump's approach to crime than they did to Joe Biden's. And again, I think it gets back to the point that Americans are far more hawkish on crime than a lot of Democrats want to admit.
Americans writ large, but how does it break down by party?
Yeah, okay. So I think that this is, we're talking about Donald Trump.
This is her job. She went to journalism school so that she can have this job. But how does it break down by party? She went journalism school. That's where this woman went. You can tell because she knows how to ask. But how's it compared to Biden? But how does it break down by party?
Trump here, right? So I think it's very important to note that this isn't just about Donald Trump. It's about Republicans versus Democrats, right? And that, of course, is a key question going into next year's midterm election. I think the party closest to your views on crime. Look, in 2023, Republicans were favored by 13 points. Look at where they were in May of this year. Republicans were actually favored by 16 points. They actually gained ground on crime. They were maintaining their edge and actually added a little bit to it. So Republicans in the House, Republicans in the Senate, they absolutely want to be talking about crime. The more they feel that we're talking about crime, the better they feel that the electoral landscape is for them.
Okay. It's good to see you. Thank you.
Nice.
So there you go. There's crime in D.C. Although we're going to start talking about some D.C. criminals. Next up, I'm going to be talking to you about some D.C. criminals. Some DC criminals. I'm trying to see if I can close. There's one more thing. There's one more clip I wanted to share with you here. This is one last thing. I know I shared with you about Charlotte Josu, but this is one. This is the chairman of the DC Police Union. One of the records say police are being directed to change arrest classifications to keep numbers down. So it's not just that lawsuit, but here's the D.C. Police Union.
Well, hi there. The D.C. Police Union is putting its allegations on the record tonight, claiming police supervisors in the department are manipulating crime data to make it appear violent crime has fallen considerably when compared to last year. This was a few weeks ago, even before Trump went in. They were saying this. As of today, according to the D.C. Police website, crime is down 25%. A decrease the chairman of the police union calls preposterous.
When our members respond to the scene of a felony offense where there is a victim reporting that a felony occurred, inevitably there will be a lieutenant or a captain that will show up on that scene and direct those members to take a report for a lesser offense. So instead of taking a report for a shooting or a stabbing or a carjacking, they will order that officer to take a report for a theft or an injured person to the hospital.
The upshot of this, the reason why this is so dangerous is because ultimately what that means is they're charged with the lesser offense and they don't ever face serious charges. So they're just back on the street, and the recidivism rate is likely to be incredibly higher. That's why you have such a problem. The failure to report it is what makes the crime go up and makes it increase all the more. Classic leftist policies biting itself in the ass.
Hospital or a felony assault, which is not the same type of classification.
Greg Pemberton says the police department's command staff is focusing on two categories in order to get the numbers to fall. They are armed with a dangerous weapon, an injured person to the hospital.
When management officials are directing officers to take reports for felony assault, or if they're going back into police databases and changing offenses to felony assault is not a category of crime that's listed on the department's daily crime stats. It's also not something that's a requirement of the FBI's Uniform Crime Reporting Program. So by changing criminal offenses from, for example, ADW bat or ADW gun to felony assault, that would avoid both the MPD and the FBI from reporting that as a Part 1 or a felony offense. What we've heard through our members and through members of management that are willing to talk with the union is that this is a directive from the command staff, is that they want to make sure that these classifications of these reports are adjusted over time to make sure that the overall crime stats stay down.
As of last Monday, when we spoke with Pemberton, DC crime data shows violent crime was down 28%. Today, the department's website says violent crime is down 25% when compared to the same time last year, and overall crime is down 8%.
That's preposterous. There's absolutely no way crime could be down 28%. Last year, they suggested that it went down 34%.
Yeah. Place is a hellhole. Surprise, surprise. I think that covers everything I wanted to on this. Now I think I've exhausted this topic. Yes. Everything else I have here seems repetitive. So we've exhausted that topic. Look at that. Towards tonight's goal and extra hour. Where are we at on that goal? Let me take a quick peek over, see where we're at on our goal. So far, I'm seeing 9 out of 15. Oh, we're very close. I think we're going to make it tonight. I think we're going to make it. That doesn't even count the couple I had over in Rumble. And the truth is, I should tack on an extra couple for Brian's super chats. So I expect we're going to make it. I'll be very surprised if we don't make it. Okay. Let's talk about the leaks. Who should we start with? What do you think? Swalwell? Schiff? Comey? Let's start with Swalwell. Surprise, surprise. Eric Swalwell. Like, who would have ever thunk that the guy who invited a Chinese spy into his inner sanctum, and yes, you can read a double entendre in there. Who would have thought that would be the guy who would be leaking classified information? No one could have predicted that if we know there's classified documents being leaked, no one would look to the guy who's allowed a Chinese woman deep into his inner sanctum. What am I missing? I'm not missing super chats. I'll come there. You're right. She's right. I should do that before. Charleston, South Carolina has a white Republican mayor check out body cam and a Democrat running for governor released today. Really? Charleston South has a white Republican mayor. Also, check out body cam of a Democrat running for governor released today. Check out the body cam of Democrat running for governor. Huh. Let me pause here for a moment. Let me pause because Kathy's going to get annoyed at me, and properly so. I deserve a little. I deserve a smack in the back of the head for that. Ow. Ow. All right. She wants me to check out. First, I need to know who the Democrat running for governor is. I gotta know who that is. I need a name. I assume governor of South Carolina. I assume.
William, can I?
Wow. Okay. I had a feeling. This sounded like there's potential gold here from Laughing Eyes. Laughing Eyes doesn't weigh in often. Not sure if she's ever weighed in. May have. If he did, I apologize. But just the way it was like, I got to get this out to Joe now. I sensed, Good Lawgic sensed, sorry, it's third person Thursday. Good Lawgic sensed that this was something that might be potential gold. And it seems as if it's not. So this, okay, so what we're about to see here is South Carolina candidate, Democrat candidate. This is police dash cam video showing William Mullins McLeod, a Democrat candidate running for governor of South Carolina, shirtless, shouting profanities and slurs after his arrest. Oh, yeah. Oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. So what's his name? McLeod? Is this clown? William Mullins McLeod. All right, let's go.
William, can I talk to you?
That's gonna give you some grace. Tonight, a Democratic candidate for governor in South Carolina getting his airtime via police dash cam video. Personal injury attorney William Mullins McLeod heard loud and clear. Oh! This video of him shirtless in the backseat of a Charleston police cruiser is circulating online. Well, let me tell you something. When I'm governor! On Monday, McLeod announced his run for office.
And I'm running for governor for the reason that people should run for higher office. I have something to say.
On Tuesday,
he got a lot to say. That's so good. Oh, God. That's so good. He has a lot to say. Someone's got expletives buried in there. Oh, bless you. This was a good find. This was good. I didn't know about this one.
South Carolina's The Post and Courier newspaper published this video it obtained through a Freedom of Information Act request.
So somebody better come let me out right now. And take these shackles off, these lily white hands.
The arrest happened on May 15th after McLeod was found wearing only underwear and shoes, and according to a police report, quote, yelling at the top of his lungs. Police calling his behavior loud, boisterous, and erratic.
Drug addict.
It doesn't matter, my friend. Trust me, I'm one of the most just humans to ever walk.
Okay,
Joseph,
tell me your name. Joseph Bustos covers South Carolina government for the state newspaper and interviewed McLeod after he announced his run on Monday.
The first question I asked him was about the arrest, and he called it unlawful and unlawful arrest. And he said in the coming months that he planned to share with voters why he believed it was an unlawful arrest as the charges are pending.
Now, the South Carolina Democratic Party is reacting to the new view of McLeod, saying in part, it is clear that Mr. McLeod is navigating profound challenges and should focus on his mental and emotional well-being instead of a campaign for governor. But McLeod refusing to bow out in a video posted to Facebook.
Now, I know the political storm is all around me, but my rhetoric is true.
In a statement to NBC News tonight, McLeod saying in part, South Carolina politics are rough and corrupt.
At the end,
I so hope he wins that Democratic primary. I so hope he wins.
Yeah. The day, this particular video will be played over and over and over again, and McLeod will have to constantly answer questions about it when he's on the trail.
McLeod unsuccessfully ran for governor back in 2010 and twice chaired the Charleston County Democratic Party. He calls himself a fearless trial lawyer and dedicated victims' rights advocate.
I want to be of use. I want to be of service.
And is now facing a misdemeanor disorderly conduct charge and a glaring video spotlight.
No, I'm not doing that. No, goddamn, I'm not getting out of this car.
Aaron Gilchrist, NBC News.
We thank you for watching.
Well, there you go. That was great. Oh, we need to follow the gubernatorial run of Mr. McLeod. Wow. The last decent McLeod was Gavin, and he's been gone some time. This one seems like he might have staying power. Thank you for that, laughing eyes. AG Bondi, I said people keep dropping news on me here. They keep dropping the news. AG Bondi strips DC police chief's authority, names DEA head as emergency commissioner. Sorry about the caps, just copy and paste it from Mario X. Really? So DC, how many? Awesome. That's all I got on that. Awesome. That was that black woman, right? She was like she looked like Roz from Night Court. That's the one. Is that the one that looks like Roz from Night Court? Who's the police chiefs of DC? What do we got here? Trump administration claims powers of DC police chief. Yeah, I said. There she is. It was a good call. It was a good call, right? It was a good call. Y'all knew who I was talking about. If you know, you know. The Trump administration stepping up its crackdown on policing the nation's capital on Thursday named the head of the DEA to be Washington's emergency police commissioner with all the powers of the police chief, a significant move that increases national control of the city as part of the federal government's law enforcement takeover. Attorney General Pam Bondi said in a directive issued Thursday evening that DEA boss Terry Cole will assume powers and duties vested in the District of Columbia Chief of Police. The MPD must receive approval from Commissioner Cole before issuing any orders, Bondi said. You see, here's the thing that's bothering me a little bit is I know what's going to happen. They're going to start reporting crime accurately, and they're going to say, oh, crime went up under Trump. Because, people actually start taking down crimes that happen. It was not immediately. That's what I'm predicting that now. I'm going on record. Today is August 15th. Well, okay, we'll call it August 15th. Oh, yeah, the Ides of August. Okay? And I'm calling this now that at the end of the 30 days, when Trump is done here, that they're going to start reporting crimes properly. The numbers are going to show higher than they were or not nearly the same level of drop. And people will say, this was not really an improvement than what Bowser was doing. But that's only because Bowser wasn't having her police report anything. Nothing would get reported. So now if you start reporting crimes, even if they're far less frequent, it looks like there's an increase in crime. So I am calling it now that we'll be hearing all about how things were less or less safe with Trump's federalization of the Metro Police Department in D.C. based on they're actually having accurate statistics. Attorney General Pam Bondi and director issued Thursday that she's taking over. Not immediately clear where the move left Pamela Smith, the city's current police chief who works for the mayor. Attorney General's directive comes hours after Smith directed MPD officers to share information with immigration agencies regarding people not in custody, such as someone involved in a traffic stop or checkpoint. Justice Department said Bondi disagreed with the police chief's directive because it allowed for continued enforcement of sanctuary policy. So that's why, because they were still running as a sanctuary city, and that's why it was like, F that. We're not a sanctuary city. Yeah, if you're an illegal alien, I'm just gonna give you a tip. If you're an illegal alien watching this show right now, that would shock the hell out of me. But if you are, I'll tell you right now, get the hell out of DC. That is not a sanctuary city anymore. You go to Boston, you go to New York, go to LA. You do not want to be in DC now. Bondi said she was rescinding that order, as well as other MPD policies limiting inquiries into immigration status and preventing arrests based solely on federal immigration warrants. And now, this is where you see what perhaps the real objective is. This is where you start seeing an inkling as to like, because I was thinking, why would Trump want to do this? 30 days, what's going to happen? So now in 31 days, everything goes back to where it was. Now, if it's an opportunity to take over a sanctuary city and actually, spend 30 days cleaning house from all the illegals, that would make sense. That would make a lot of sense. Probably try to get into other sanctuary cities. But the reality is none of these sanctuary cities are going to allow. He's able to take over and compel federalization in D.C. because it's a federal district. You can't do that in any other city in the country. So unlikely that I don't foresee any of these sanctuary cities taking him up on his offer. Toward tonight's goal, an extra hour. Nice. Well done, W Couch. Thumbnail just needed a green cloud behind Swalwell. I was so proud of that thumbnail, but you're right. That would have been an improvement if there was a little green cloud rising up. That would have definitely been an improvement. Didn't think of that. Forgot filler one night could be a clip circulating of Arlington, Texas mayor and bets on length of term unhinged. I don't know anything about the Arlington mayor. Maybe. I'll try to look into it. Wonder why Trump keeps plugging Lindsey Graham. I don't get it. He keeps endorsing him even though no one likes him. So here's the thing. Trump will routinely endorse people we don't like. This is what he's done since he hit the political scene in 2016. He just recommends and puts people in positions that were just like, why? And I think that part of his motivation is that he feels like it's more efficient than fighting. He wants to pick his battles. And he feels like at this point, he has to realize what a snake Lindsey Graham is. I mean, he saw what happened in 2021. Late 2020, early 2021. He's not a stupid man. He has to realize that guy is a snake. But I think he probably realizes that he can get more flies with honey than with vinegar. So maybe once he's out of office, maybe I would hope in 2029, he'd be like, okay, here are the list of all the people I was telling you to be nice to that I'm going to tell you right now are scum. And, near the top of the list would be Lindsey Graham. Maybe we'll get that. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, we were talking about Swalwell. So we started shifting over here. Although Breck Nichols checked in with the vicious sandwich attack reminded me of Napoleon slapping Kip and then running to the front door. I'm not familiar with that story. Oh, from Napoleon Dynamite. I'm thinking Bonaparte. You're talking about Napoleon Dynamite. Yeah, I forgot about that movie. That's a pretty funny movie. Joe, check your Twitter DMs. I sent you a link that Inner City Press posted 19 minutes ago about a filing about the Epstein grand jury. This is a weird night. People are giving me all sorts of things they want me to check out, and so far they've been really pretty golden. I'm not. Oh, here it is. I want to get where I'm going here. I got to get to my other stories.
Ben Franklin here. I was playing with my...
Okay. Before I go there, and I apologize that I'm a little all over the place. Thursday nights, like I said, there's a lot that I need to clean out of the chamber. I want to just look over this filing and that was shared with me about Epstein because it's Epstein and that's important, right? I mean, if it's Epstein, you gotta, you know, you gotta give it proper, you gotta give it proper thing, right? I gotta give it a look. So how are we gonna do this where I'm not gonna leave you hanging? What I'm gonna do is this. I'm gonna do a quick check as to what this Epstein filing is, while I share with you something that I thought was pretty funny and was going to be an opening, but never made the cut this week. I think that's a good way to do this. Yeah, that's a good way to do this. So let me share that with you while I read this over. Do this real quick. Can I make you enlarged? How big can I get you? It's as big as I can get it. That's what she said. Do it this way.
Ben Franklin here. I was playing with my kite in a lightning storm and ended up in the present-day crime-ridden capital. Let's check on the state of this filthy shithole. So how many people in government now?
At least 3 million if you don't count the military, and we're pretty much always hiring.
Dude, what the fuck? But you have spending under control?
No, once we're elected, we don't give a shit about that. We're 36 trillion in debt and rising.
Bro, I didn't even know numbers even went that high. How can you spend that much on the gold standard? We got rid of that silly idea over 50 years ago. Science has proven that money isn't real and anyone can just print it. What's up with England now? How's the king?
Well, they have a new king now named Muhammad.
Oh, man. Sucks to suck. What are you guys paying taxes nowadays?
Sucks to suck.
Man, between income, property, and sales tax, it's like 30 to 40%.
Yeah. You lost me at income tax. Why haven't you guys used the Second Amendment to start a new government?
Because they have nukes and a massive militarized police force.
Okay, not what we planned. Wait, so let me get this straight. You guys vote now? Well, guys, the government is unrecognizable. Congress is now a massive nursing home where dementia patients manage all your money. Good luck.
Yeah. So I thought that was cute. I told you I cleaned out the chamber. This is what I got. This is what I got from Inner City Press. He shared this, that there was a filing in US v. Epstein. Just before midnight, DOJ files that the government has completed its notification process with respect to the grand jury exhibits for any such parties it was able to identify. I don't know what to do, what that means. Not gonna sit here trying to say otherwise. Complete its notification process with respect to the grand jury exhibits for such parties as able to identify. Maybe this is a release of records, I assume. Let's check this out real quick.
This is Ghislaine Maxwell when she gave a press conference inside the United Nations. Inner City Press was there, and we asked her a question. And since then, we've been banned from the United Nations with no reentry. Let's check it out.
Floor to some questions.
Yes.
Using social media.
Using
Secretary General
social
appointed that high-level panel.
And here today, July 14th, 2025, in the UN that we're banned from is Secretary General Antonio Guterres. He had a representative on Ghislaine Maxwell's Terramar Foundation, one of only 5, but he wouldn't answer ever any questions about it or his links. Here in the front row, under Stefan Dujarric, is a woman who did a fundraiser with Maxwell. You see, her name is Célia de la Varenne. This is today, and this was before. De la Varenne, Ghislaine Maxwell, and also the French ambassador then of the UN, François Delattre. They're raising money for what? Oh, to stop sex trafficking. And here's de la Varenne asking a question to who? Oh, Antonio Guterres. Not about his links, though, to Ghislaine Maxwell and ultimately her boss.
All right. So that's Inner City Press, who's awesome. Big fan of his. I've met him a few times. Good guy. Smart guy. Has dogged determination. I can't really give you much on that. Are there more links, or is it time for me to start talking about Eric Swalwell? Can we do that? Can we do that? I can't complain because the links have been pretty rock solid, but still, there's a show. We're trying to run a show here. Wikipedia, DC's Chief Pamela A. Smith joined the MPD in 2022 as its Chief Equity Officer. Nice. Thank you, Max Deplorable. Thank you very, very much. All right. Gateway Pundit coming out and saying, "Come and get me, Cash. I won't be silent. I'll just be deadly." Oh my god! Oh my god! I kill myself sometimes. That's really good. Can I pause and retweet that, please? That was really good. I have to. How is it? Rep Swalwell? Is that what it is? Rep Swalwell? There we go. Got it. There we go. Okay. Thank you. Eric Swalwell lashes out after declassified FBI docs reveal he was likely source of leaks to damage Trump along with Adam Schiff. Newly declassified FBI records have fingered... The jokes really write themselves with this one, with this dude. Have fingered Representative Eric Swalwell as a likely conduit for damaging leaks. Damaging leaks from Swalwell. It's like everyone knew about this ages ago. Everyone was warned about the damaging leaks from Eric Swalwell, aimed at undermining President Donald Trump, along with disgraced Representative Adam Schiff. According to the FBI's... Jacob, you came like 3 minutes too late. Go back 3 minutes and start from there. Okay. According to the FBI's own 302 interview summaries, now in the hands of Congress, thanks to FBI Director Kash Patel, The whistleblower noted that Representative Swalwell has been the source of a lot of leaked information and had to be counseled to be more careful. Oh my God. Things are leaking out of Swalwell. Oh my gosh. According to Emmy-winning investigative journalist Catherine Herridge, quote, I obtained a newly declassified FBI interview summary from 2017 about intelligence leaks from the Russia probes. Swalwell's been linked to Chinese probes, not Russian probes. While the interview's subject name is withheld, it appears to be a member of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, the one with the least intelligence. According to the FBI report known as 302, noted Swalwell has been the source of a lot of leaked information and had to be counseled to be more careful. I've reached out to Staff Representative Swalwell, Congress, for comment, and he said, you'll get nothing out of me. Rather than address the substance of the allegations, a clearly panicked Swalwell responded on social media with an unhinged barrage aimed at Kash Patel and anyone reporting the facts. On X, Swalwell raged. More BS. This is a fine, upstanding congressman right here. In service to Trump to try and keep me quiet. Come and get me, Kash. This Trump stooge long ago put me at the top of his book's enemy list. This nonsense is just more of that. I won't be silent. This is the one I should have retweeted. Should I still do it? In another post, he sneered at the whistleblower who came forward. This whistleblower made this BS up when Trump was president. If they had anything, they would have indicted me. Well, the statute of limitations probably keeps them from indicting him. Trump would have done anything to destroy me if he could have. I don't think they're that big a fish. So they didn't indict me. Therefore, they had nothing. What's next? He's so angry. What's next? What's next? What's next? Yikes. Didn't mean to do that. Maybe I'll just... Maybe we'll do this one. We'll see if anyone else said the deadly thing. No, I don't care if it's the same joke. It was worth it. And this way I get more eyes. When confronted by critics online, Swalwell lashed out again, blaming reporters for supposedly failing to include an Inspector General report he claims debunks the allegations. And when reporters fall for this and don't give full context, like an IG report saying this is all BS, the death threats roll in. Great work. He's so angry. He's so angry. This isn't Swalwell's first brush with scandal involving questionable judgment and compromised credibility. His notorious relationship and reported affair with the Chinese intelligence asset named Fang, and that's not even a joke, that's genuinely her name, should have ended his career and landed him behind bars. Yet Democratic leadership shielded him from consequences, even allowing him to remain on the House Intelligence Committee for years. Yep, this is true. These are facts. So that is Swalwell. I'm covered to him now. Let's shuffle on over to the next urinal, which is occupied by Adam Schiff. Democrat whistleblower repeatedly warned FBI about Adam Schiff's Russiagate leaks. Democrat whistleblower says Schiff personally greenlit illegal leaks of classified info to take down Trump and told staff they wouldn't get caught. What? multiple felonies. This is brought to you by Rod Martin. Let's check.
And tonight, breaking news and new developments as the Russia hoax continues to unravel. According to our friend John Solomon, and a new report tonight just out, and he will join us in just a moment, a Democrat whistleblower repeatedly was warning the FBI beginning in 2017 that the congenital liar, Adam Schiff, had authorized leaking classified information to smear President Trump, which, by the way, could be a violation of the Espionage Act. Here with more on this breaking report, the editor-in-chief, founder, chief investigative reporter, justthenews.com, John Solomon. This is a big story, and this is a Democratic whistleblower, and there might be other Democrats implicated as well, like Kinzinger.
Yeah, well, one of the guys that's in here is Eric Swalwell. Now, that is secondhand information from the whistleblower, but the whistleblower actually attended a meeting with Adam Schiff when he was ranking member. Yeah.
I stand corrected. It was they both hate Trump, so I kind of mix them up.
Yeah, they all merge together these days. Listen, this whistleblower literally sat in a meeting, he tells the FBI, where Adam Schiff authorized the leaking of classified secrets to dirty up Donald Trump and to try to build towards either a select committee in Congress or a special prosecutor. This whistleblower was a career intelligence officer. He had worked for the House Intelligence Committee, Democrat staff for a dozen years when he came forward to the FBI. He gave 4 interviews. He gave very specific information to the FBI, and nothing happened. Why?
Nothing happened.
The Justice Department simply decided to take a pass. How many times have we sat around?
This is like a pattern that they continually take a pass with the Democratic elite. They did this with they did this with Hillary. They did it with Schiff. They did it with Swalwell. They did it with all of them. It's just, you're in the protected class. You're not going to be prosecuted, no matter how terrible and obvious your crimes are.
In the last decade and heard, we're going to get to the bottom of that classified leak. And then a few months later, we couldn't get to the bottom of that classified leak. In the case of Adam Schiff, they got to the bottom of some classified leaks. But
you have to ask what happened during Trump's first term. Like, how bad was our DOJ in Trump's first term? How bad, how corrupted were they? How deep state were they? That none of these people saw any accountability.
But the Justice Department chose not to act. So tonight, past attorney generals, people like Merrick Garland and Jeff Sessions and Rod Rosenstein, who was acting on Russiagate, they've got some serious questions answered. Did they know about this Adam Schiff stuff? Why did they allow it to be passed on? And will anything happen in the current?
And Jacob, I'm cynical too. But the names need to be known, and so that they can be called out. And I covered that particular report from John Solomon the other night. But there's a lot more that I want to share with you on this story. This is from Data Republican, where she says Adam Schiff's pardon is for any offenses related to the activities or subject matter a select committee to investigate J6. That's what someone asked me off the cuff the other night when I first started covering this story, whether or not he was pardoned. And I said my recollection was that it was for his J6 work, not for this. He's not protected from Russiagate. It says a full and unconditional pardon for any offenses against the United States which they may have committed. This is not the members of Congress who served on the select committee. Doesn't even name him individually. This is such a bogus pardon. They couldn't even be bothered to write out the names of all the people on the party. Ridiculous. This document is a joke. This should be tested in court. You don't even put their names on? What, are you kidding me? This is so not a pardon. I respectfully opine that this is not a legal pardon. This is 100% an illegal pardon. What if they killed someone and they claim that's part of their work for the J6 committee? And they're pardoned. The stupidest thing in the world. Cannot be. Representative Claudie Tenney So we cannot allow the news cycle to bury this. Adam Schiff approved a plan to leak classified info in 2017 to attack President Trump. Must be a full investigation and real accountability. Not sure if we're going to get real accountability. Like many of you, I'm kind of skeptical about that. But Donald Trump put out on Truth Social just out irrefutable proof that Adam Schiff approved plan to leak classified information to damage Donald Trump. Unless you're going to hit him with treason charges or sedition charges. I don't know. Tyler Neal put out this thread. How does Adam Schiff, Russiagate advisor, end up in the Trump administration? How does this woman who helped Kamala Harris demonize Kavanaugh end up in the Trump DOD? These are the Biden borrowers. My investigative series exposed a potential deep state threat in the second Trump administration. So, this is brought to you by Tyler O'Neill.
How does a woman who helped Kamala Harris smear Brett Kavanaugh and wrote that President Trump is unfit to hold public office, nonetheless end up in the Defense Department under Trump? How does a former FBI analyst who worked with Adam Schiff on Russiagate end up in the Federal Aviation Administration under Trump? How does a former Biden campaign lawyer end up in the Justice Department under Trump? How does a protege of Eric Holder, a man notorious for racializing and weaponizing the DOJ under Obama, end up in the Justice Department under Trump? Presidents appoint more than 3,000 people for political positions, but the federal government directly employs roughly 2.3 million, most of them for purportedly non-political career roles. Many of those political appointees later transition to career roles in a process known as burrowing in. President Biden named these people as political appointees, but they burrowed in, joining the permanent bureaucracy. My series highlights these burrowers and raises important questions about them. These people may or may not be part of a deep state effort to oppose Trump from within. An RMG research poll found that 75% of Washington, D.C. based federal employees making $75,000 or more per year and who voted for Harris in November say they will not follow a lawful Trump order if they consider it bad policy. This is exactly
That's insanity. That's insanity.
The kind of deep state bureaucratic attitude that drove outright opposition to Trump during his first term, and it stands to reason that it will rear its ugly head again in his second. My series highlights the burrowers who might form part of this deep state, alerting the Trump administration to their presence. Current civil service protections make them difficult to fire, and the administration is working to change those rules in order to make the executive branch more accountable to the people's elected president. This series supports that overall goal to make permanent Washington more accountable to the people.
Well, there you go. Now, he's got 10 parts to this in this thread, which I haven't gone through yet. So here, I think he's going to start. We're going to go a little further here. We'll see how it goes. I get a little bit of a headache from the whole constant moving around with this thing.
I wrote a book, The Woktopus, The Dark Money Cabal Manipulating the Federal Government, because a lot of these left-wing activist groups that are funded by George Soros and his network of funders are pushing their ideology through the administrative state, and the right doesn't do
I
that.
agree.
We don't believe in that.
We don't
Yeah.
burrow. Burrowing is a term of art, and at the end of every administration, those who like the gig, 35-hour work weeks and remote work forever and FEHB and all these wonderful benefits.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. We hope. They convert from being a Schedule C or a Schedule A that's been hired under a political authority to a career service GS protected. And that's called burrowing. It's not supposed to happen. It happens in Democratic administrations like crazy. Like day one, they get there, they start to burrow. And from their positions, they don't have to do anything to frustrate an agenda. They don't have to just do something. So much of the failure to reform the federal government is the inertia.
All right, so we got that part as far as on the burrow, like what the concept is of burrowing in. So the first one he brings up is this Lucian Sikorsky, former advisor to Adam Schiff's House Intelligence Committee during Russiagate. Now he's at the FAA under Trump. Then you have Samantha Goldstein. She advised Harris during Kavanaugh hearings. She also wrote an op-ed saying Trump is unfit to hold office. Andrea Delgado Fink served on Biden's Environmental Justice Advisory Council. Now she's in the Trump administration, which is rightly rooting that DEI nonsense out of the government. It's unbelievable. Sarah Scheinman worked as a lawyer on Joe Biden's campaign team in 2020. Biden appointed her to the Office of Management, to the OMB, Office of Management and Budget. Now she's an attorney advisor in the DOJ's antitrust division under Trump. She posted this picture in February. Great. Jeff Barron served on the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, but the Senate refused to confirm him when Biden renominated him. He borrowed in, then took the buyout. He won't pose a deep state threat, but his borrowing costs taxpayers. Then you have Tina Thomas. She worked closely with Obama AG Eric Holder. She's an assistant U.S. attorney in D.C. Jeff Resmovic may not technically be a borrower, but he represents the ghost of Mayorkas in the Trump DH. Biden appointed Resmovic DHS CFO, but withdrew the nomination. Resmovic worked closely with Mayorkas, and he's still working at CBP. And yeah. So the deep state is still, unfortunately, far too strong in 2025. I got more for you. Let me catch up on some of these chats here. DOJ is not much better under Barbie. This is why they oppose Matt Gaetz. We'll see. Whole dash cam on Democrat for South Carolina governor on Fit News YouTube. I'm an old school digger. Cool. Old school diggers. Yeah, I'm already like nearing the 2-hour mark here. I feel like we're kind of at the threshold of like, so I don't want to go back to that. I appreciate you bringing that up before, but I don't want to jump around. I want to finish up this Comey thing, and then, yeah, I'm probably going to be talking about Clinton a little bit, and also I have a feeling we're going an extra hour here. I'm turning this 2-hour show into a 3-hour with call-in. So I know you don't want more, but Cash and Hattie tonight talked about burn bags. Also, Salma Megan Kelly today said 3 grand juries are seated in Virginia. So that last one you're referencing, I actually had put aside here. and finding it might be a little bit tricky. Because I had a bunch of tabs here. But I'm going to try and find that. During the third hour. So Svetlana Lakova reports that newly classified documents show Michael Schmidt was receiving leaks of classified information from James Comey. The investigation revealed Richmond had been a source for Michael Schmidt, one of the reporters credited with writing the article at issue in the New York Times since at least 2008. Richmond first spoke with Schmidt regarding an investigation into illegal activity in sports. Prior to Richmond becoming an SGE, Schmidt visited Richmond's house numerous times. New York Times quoted Richmond several times, both on the record and on background and stories regarding Jim Comey. After he was terminated by President Trump, Comey used Richmond as a conduit to convey to the media memoranda of his meetings with President Trump. Wow. Wow. And here is that Michael Schmidt. Oh, and who is Mike Schmidt? That's right, Nicole Wallace's husband. But she doesn't mention it in this report here.
They all see the world the same way. And what we
They're freaking out about these investigations about illegal declassifications because he's sitting there in the line of fire.
see them doing is moving the ball around the court and teeing each other up differently, to get them to some sort of criminal investigation. You have the intelligence community taking the fruits of what it does or whatever classified stuff that it has, declassifying it, sending referrals to the Justice Department, and putting the department in a place to go forward and say, okay, we are looking at this, and using the specter of criminality to examine Trump's foes, the original foes like Obama.
Because you're a criminal. That's why. You Schmidt, you're a criminal.
Brennan and Comey.
I mean, Andrew Weissman, I don't know what moves the men in the manosphere, but it looks so freaking lame and weak to be so
lame and weak to be potentially coming after my husband for illegally sharing classified information.
obsessed with Obama.
They all see the world.
Looks so lame and weak. Well, there are investigations, as Kathy mentioned, there are investigations that Solomon says may be coming into Hillary Clinton as well. We talked about our leakers, and they are part of the DC Leakers Club. But John Solomon is reporting that multiple grand juries outside of DC have been gathering evidence related to the grand conspiracy. He doesn't know specifics, but theorizes that the grand jury in Pennsylvania could be related to the 2020 election. Let's hear this clip here. Here's John Solomon on with Megyn Kelly.
Listen, the way you opened your show, there's no better description of what the conspiracy is. It's a conspiracy to protect potential of Democrats from potential criminal prosecution, and then to violate the civil liberties and privacy and reputations of innocent Republicans to create an alternate story to protect political interest, meaning what's going to happen in the election. That's what it is. It's not more complicated than that. I know people say, oh, a conspiracy case is going to be complicated. No, it's really not. We protected Democrats. And the cycle is Hillary has two problems. Email, now corruption. We can prove that was active at the time. Hunter Biden's got corruption in taxes. And by the way, the first evidence of that comes in March through May of 2016. And then 2019, it's Hunter Biden a lot more. And so we impeached the president, and we have the government actually creating stories that I think we will prove were false. And then in 21, they find Joe Biden's classified documents at UPenn office in Washington and his garage, and they got to make Donald Trump look like he's the classified guy first before they can let the cat out of the bag that Joe Biden has the same problem. It's a wash, rinse, and repeat cycle. And in the course of that, two potential crimes are occurring. Obstruction of legitimate investigations. Those are overt acts of a conspiracy.
And that's important because the overt acts help keep the conspiracy alive, so you don't have a statute of limitations issue, and you can relate back to things that happened 10 years ago, 9 years ago, 8 years ago. So that's important that they keep resurrecting that conspiracy.
And then the violation of...
And it has to be an overt act, and if it's an illegal act, even better. Even an overt act technically would keep it alive, even if it's not illegal. But if it's an illegal act, and I think that might depend on the jurisdiction, whether it has to be an illegal overt act. But if it's an illegal act, it certainly is kept alive by any jurisdiction.
Innocent people's civil liberties to create a political ruse. That is where I believe the grand conspiracy case is headed. I believe that there are multiple grand juries that have begun work around this country in multiple jurisdictions outside of Washington.
Multiple grand juries.
Where evidence is now being gathered.
You do? You
I do.
Can report that, or you have reason to believe that?
Nope, I have confirmed witnesses and who've had contact with the grand jury. So there are grand jurors in multiple locations. Some of those are in Virginia. I believe one is going to begin based on early discussions in Pennsylvania. There may be one in New York. And so the activity has begun. And the question now is, and those are probably not going to be the indicting locations.
And I am hesitant to be remotely excited about this because I feel like I sound like a Democrat screaming, the walls are closing in on Trump, which they never close in. So I sort of feel as if this is the Republican version of the walls are closing in. So I don't, I want to share with you what's being said without saying without saying that I agree that something is certainly happening, because there are a lot of mistakes there are a lot of things that can go wrong between contraception of an indictment and its delivery.
I think
certainly contraception of a conviction and its delivery. A lot of things can go wrong.
More likely thing is you use multiple grand juries just to make it easy to gather lots of information quickly. That's the way strike forces work. And then you keep working from there. But there are multiple locations where pieces of this are being looked at. And maybe the grand jurors don't even know it's a grand conspiracy, just looking at some of the overt acts in one of these chapters of this sad story. But that is going on. And I think it's going to be a process, right? It's going to be a 6-month process of I don't know the reason yet. I wish I knew. I don't know the reason. I mean, there's lots of, it could be related to the 2020 election.
Yeah, that's where my mind went.
Yeah. Yeah. So we don't know yet. I just know that certain witnesses have been contacted about acceptance of grand jury subpoenas, and they're in different locations. So the process is beginning, but it's a long process. And, we won't know a lot about if the Justice Department does the right thing. Unlike the Obama and Biden Justice Departments that leaked anything, the grand jury process will be unbelievably secret and will be masked from it, because that's the way the process is supposed to work. In the meantime, we have an opportunity through the Freedom of Information Act and through our purchase as reporters to go out and try to get the story for the American people so they can understand why this is going on. The Democrats who didn't care about going after a president when it was the Republican are going to start crying, this is payback, this is retribution. We need Americans to understand it's not payback and retribution. There are legitimate legal questions here.
So what I take from this is we're supposed to hope that something is actually brewing. Many of you are in the same camp that I'm in, where I'm basically like, I'm not holding out hope for anything. It's nice to know that at least it's a possibility. But if you can't bring me at least an indictment, and I don't want that indictment to be in D.C. It's nice that he said that none of these are in D.C. You need to be able to put together enough overt acts that you can get it out of D.C. So we've heard about grand juries in Mar-a-Lago, in Florida. We've heard now about Virginia and New York. Pennsylvania. Look, I'm not crazy about Virginia or New York as a jurisdiction. Pennsylvania would be okay. Normally, the indictment would come out of the jurisdiction from where they're doing the grand jury investigation, because ultimately the grand jury is the one who charges them. So they got to be somewhere. And if they're in D.C., and as I've said this before, and I will keep saying this, if it's only going to come out of D.C., I can promise you there is zero chance that any significant Democrat will be held accountable in D.C. That is just impossible. You will never get 12 unanimous guilty verdicts in D.C. because they don't care what evidence you show. They don't care. They'll lie and when they're trying to get it onto the jury, and they'll come out there and they'll just be like, I don't care what the hell you show me. I'm falling asleep throughout this trial. At the end, I'm going to say not guilty, no matter what the hell everyone around me is saying. That's what's going to happen. So that being the case, all that would end up coming out of it is you would have the left screaming, you see, it was a persecution. It was not a real crime. That's why the jury found them not guilty. So if they do it in D.C., the only reason to do it in D.C. when you know you're a dead man walking there as the prosecutor against any of these potential defendants in D.C. would be to have a show trial. So this way your base can think, oh, you're really trying. It's a fool's errand. and all you'll do is rally up the left into saying they're trying to persecute us, and it'll have the same negative effect on your party in the next election that it had on the Democrat Party when they try going after Trump. So I do not want to see that happen ever. I don't want to see any of these idiots, these corrupt thieves charged in DC. If you can't charge them outside DC, you can't get a charge list stick outside DC, don't bring it. But you should be able to get some of these charges outside DC. So what else did I have? Is there anything else for you? What was this? Let's refresh this. This isn't working. All right. Adam K is asking, what do you mean the deep state is far too strong? From my perspective, the deep state has been exposed at every turn recently. Yes, still lots of work to be done, but please elaborate. Okay, that's a fair question. I gave you a list there. We went through a list. Where was it? Tyler O'Neill came out with a list here. A list of holdovers. A list of holdovers. This was what I was showing you a few moments ago. The Biden borrowers. All these different people, right? Before I showed you the list, did you know any of these names? Chances are no. I will tell you, I didn't know any of these names. He gave us 10 names, okay? Or 7 names, something thereabouts. So he's got Lucian Sikorsky. He's got this Samantha Goldstein and Andrea Delgado Fink, Sarah Scheinman, Jeff Baran, Tina Thomas, Jeff Resmovic, and that was it. Okay. That's what, 6, 7 names? That's nice. There are hundreds of thousands of employees in government, many of them in DC, and many who are not in DC are all part of this deep state who basically serve masters other than the agenda of a particular president who they might hate. So, and many of them in very powerful positions, because if you're a deep state person, your agenda is to be motivated by what will further your career advancements. Deep state individuals tend to be notoriously diligent in trying to rise through the ranks. And sometimes they'll burrow into other positions, into being a DOJ U.S. attorney. We have 7 names. There are likely, and if you talk about the deep states, you have to be talking about thousands of people whose names you and I never heard of. So sure, we can look at names like James Comey, Eric Clapper, Brennan, whomever at the top, the very tippy top. But if you look down 2 ranks in the chart, there are hundreds of people 2 ranks below them, and we don't know any of their names. Now, not everyone who's serving there is deep state, so to speak. But if you have 30, 40%, or even 20, 15%, you're talking about hundreds, if not thousands of people who are committed towards serving an agenda other than following along with what our current administration is seeking to push forward. Now they can only serve in whatever role they can serve, but limited capacities that they have. You have one. Look at how Judge Boasberg. He's not technically deep state, but he's serving a deep state agenda. All these Democrat appointed judges who seem to basically say, "Oh, why do I have to follow what precedent says? I'm going to go with what my feels direct me to say." So these are people who, it's like they're entrenched to try and slow down the process of actually righting the ship back on course. because they think they know better. They think they're more important. They think that they should be that's their duty bound to stand in the way of Donald Trump, who they view as being some tyrannical fascist. So that's what we're dealing with here. And like I said, most of their names you don't know. I don't know. No one knows. Kash Patel wrote a book exposing a whole bunch of them. And by the way, they're not all Democrats. A lot of them are Republicans. A lot of them are. You think there's a difference between? You think there's a noticeable difference between a Lisa Murkowski, a Susan Collins, Mitt Romney, and Hillary Clinton, a Chuck Schumer, or a Lindsey Graham? They're all part of the same agenda as far as like how do we maximize our power, and it's not at all about pushing forward and making the world a better place. Here, I was covering the story about the crime reporting in D.C. earlier in the show. Why are they lying about crime? Why are they doing it? To enrich their own power, so that they look as if they're competent, to the detriment of the citizens they're supposed to be helping. The reason you're in this position is to try and keep the city safe. There's a crime element. Your objective is to try and stand in the way of that and clean up crime. You're supposed to try and put these people in jail. Well, but instead of worrying about putting people in jail, you say, I'm going to put in a report that this was a lower offense. Now, instead of the person getting put away for 10 years, they get put away for 6 months. They bounce back out. They go on probation 2 months later, and they're right back out. And that's happening with thousands of people citywide. So the most dangerous elements, unless they actually, get busted for killing someone, you can't cover that crime up. They basically just able to go out there and keep terrorizing a city. No one labels that deep state because they don't think of it in those terms, but it's the same. There's little difference because at the end of the day, they're people who are basically seeking power, not really caring about what their purpose or their function is supposed to be, and saying, what can I do in order to help enrich myself and those around me, but make them look good so that they can get promotions, so that they can rise up. So that's why when I say the deep state is too strong, is that there's no accountability for people who basically are self-promotional rather than actually committed towards serving as they've committed to serve, to fulfilling the obligations that they've accepted. And it's terrible. It's terrible. It's a symptom that we're all suffering because our moral values have corroded to where self-promotion and self-advancement has become far more important than achievement. You look back during what people consider the golden age of America, their achievement is what was lauded as opposed to advancement. You would never have seen a Kamala Harris. If Kamala Harris was a white dude 70 years ago, that's not a white dude who would have succeeded. Because the notion of failing upwards was not an American ideal. But now it's all about how can you promote yourself and not about what are you actually accomplishing. What schools did you go to? What titles have you held? Not how effective were you in the job. Not did you get the job done, but who are you friends with, and who are you, and how do you present as someone who should be looked at for what intangibles do you have, not achievements. Used to be you have to achieve something. People are like, wow, you're really good. Let's give you a promotion. Now it's a matter of there's countless other variables other than your competence and ability and achievement, which will determine whether or not you rise through the ranks. That's a good question you asked, though. Breck Nichols put out and shared with me a whole bunch of links. He said, Joe, save this later, but here are 3 minutes of pure good-natured fun. All right, let's do that real quick. Let's see what you got for me. That wasn't what I wanted to do. Did that wrong.
If Texas redrawing their congressional map would get you 5 safe red seats, means that California, New York, Illinois, and Maryland are all going to redraw their.
This is great. This is great. But I think I watched this. I think I watched this. In the end, Ted Cruz is like blowing a kiss to him. Right here. See? I told you. I think we watched this together. Someone share this with me.
People don't want that. And people in Texas, as you saw, I got the highest vote in the history of Texas. I love Texas. Texas likes me, obviously.
See?
But I got the
Yeah, we watched this. It's a great clip, but we watched this. I thank you for sharing. But yeah, we did watch that one. I'm not a big fan of the baby clips in general, although I like the whole babies giving snarky answers more than but that one was good. That one was particularly good. All right. I want to talk to you about Hillary Clinton, but I promise we're in the added hour now, and I promised I was going to have call-in session for a little bit. So I'm going to see if I can get myself over to Hillary Clinton. In case I don't end up getting there, we'll see how the calls go. We'll see how the calls go. I am going to be opening up the phone lines momentarily. We'll see how the calls go. And I congratulate you, my amazing audience, for helping us achieve our goal tonight. You guys are phenomenal. It was we didn't technically hit 15 yellows, but I'm certainly counting it that way. Between what happened with the rants and with Brian Oldenkamp and his generosity, it's only appropriate that I should honor as if we hit that 15. So I will. And with that, I'm going to be opening up the phone lines, but I'll tell you as I'm opening these phone lines up, the news is, and this is also from John Solomon, he's saying that all these different leaks are coming out, that there are probes going on into Hillary Clinton with her emails and probes with her Clinton Foundation, and basically being revealed that the Obama administration was determined to make sure that nothing would happen to her. Nothing would happen to her. None of this was remotely surprising. All right. So, yeah, but basically that the Obama administration was fully aware as to how corrupt she was and was taking every step possible, because that's what deep staters do, is that they basically cover for each other, and that they made sure that any attempt by persons to try and investigate into Hillary Clinton were immediately kiboshed by the most powerful people in the country. Basically, he and the heads of his department, of his intelligence community. Obama, I'm talking about. All right, the number to call in, if you want to call in and talk about anything going on in the world, want to bend my ear about something, disagree with me about something, tell me how cool this shirt looks or how much you like my thumbnails, whatever it is, but I'm going to ask you to try to keep it short, okay? So try to keep it to 3 minutes, okay? Because I like getting numerous calls in. And if you have a question, especially if you have a question, like some thought, a question about politics, I guess it'd be a question about life. You ask me a question about anything that you like, and I will give you 3 minutes of my time. The number to call is 972-454-0703. That's 972-454-0703. I turn that on now. And I'm going to have it a chyron. I think that's the word. In the form of a banner along the bottom here. And remind you, it's around that time that you should hit the like and subscribe buttons. So if you have not yet hit those buttons, I would be obliged if you can hit the like and subscribe. Just hit those buttons there. But if you want to call in, I will have the phone line open now as I move forward. I do have a couple other links. Feel free to call in now. That's fine. And I'm still gonna keep going with what I've got here, because I have a bunch of other links to hit up with you guys. in case, because what happens sometimes is that things don't really people don't end up calling in so fast. One of the things I did want to cover with you is there was a story that James Rosen brought out about documents declassified by Tulsi Gabbard relating to James Clapper rejecting concerns that were expressed about the Trump-Russia conclusions. If you hear that, that's my phone.
Call from Kimmy Hunt.
Kimmy.
To accept.
Kimmy, how are you, girl?
Hey, Kimmy Hunt is feeling okay today.
Okay. So,
starting to get some of my strength back.
Well, that's good. That's good. You're done with all your treatments, right?
Yes, last Friday was my last treatment.
And how and how when will you know whether they've been successful?
Well, Dr. Einstein, the radiologist who placed the internal stuff, was doing that, said that he could not visualize the tumor anymore, and that he could not palpate it. He could not touch it and feel it in there anymore.
Awesome.
So he said, but microscopically, or on that level, we won't know until we get a PET scan, and that will be done 3 months out from my final treatment. I have to kind of be on ice for 3 months.
So November, in November you go for a PET scan.
November I go for a PET scan. They haven't scheduled it yet, but yes.
Wow. Well, so for now though, you're like in the clear for like additional treatments, and the prognosis is, I assume, very positive.
The prognosis is positive at this point. Dr. Einstein says I'm an overachiever.
Thank God. Awesome.
And in my head, I'm thinking I'm really not an overachiever, but I snuck and took the horse pace medicine behind his back.
Nice. Did you really?
And he had no clue. Yeah, I got it from a compounding pharmacy in.
You got it from a veterinarian.
No, I got it from a compounding pharmacy in Utah that works with some of these places that you can do telehealth.
You weren't scared to take something that he wouldn't, that wasn't.
Oh, absolutely not. I'm an old RN, and I did all my research, and I got my information on cancer, and that I won't say the eye medication word on your show.
Appreciate
but
it.
I got that information from actually NIH.gov website.
Interesting.
It was a research paper that I read thoroughly, and they found that the eye medication actually was being seen as potentiating and boosting the radiation and chemo that would be done for specifically cervical cancer. And when I brought this to my doctors, they said, well, but that's just one research paper, and
It's the NIH.
And it's not in our protocol, so we can't prescribe it.
That's almost like saying, go ahead and take it if you want. But
well, that's what that was the guy. That was the gynecological oncologist. That was his tone.
Right.
The radiation doctor, Dr. Einstein, his tone was, this is not acceptable. We do not approve of this. And if you get any of these symptoms whatsoever, if you get any of these side effects whatsoever for taking large doses that affect only children, we will have to stop your treatments immediately. And I went, okay, I'm not going to say a word to you. So I
Good
didn't.
for you.
But he says I'm an overachiever. But yeah, I just want to thank everybody. I want to tell everybody how much appreciated I am of all of you people.
You're very,
All of you
very loved.
wonderful, wonderful people.
We all love
I
you,
love
Kimmy.
you all.
Yeah, we
I
love
love
you.
you
We're
all.
all so pleased and thanking God for how your treatment is coming along. Did you have anything else you wanted to ask me about specifically, or if it was purely for a check-in, I'm thrilled that you called. But if there was anything else you wanted to ask me about or discuss, I'll give you additional time, even though yeah, go for it.
I did send you a DM. I saw something creep up in my X timeline, and I didn't see it going anywhere that I saw, but now that all this stuff is coming out on Brennan and Clapper, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, apparently Mayorkas and the DHS during Biden's administration had set up some kind of an expert intel advisory group in the DHS, and Brennan and Clapper were both on that committee for almost the complete duration of and when they found out Stephen Miller's group, America First
Legal,
they got it shut down in 2024. And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, Brennan and Clapper are underneath Mayorkas on DHS, and they're advising the DHS. And I know it's conspiratorial. I'm sorry, but they're pretty good at conspiracies themselves. Who is over the Secret Service? DHS.
Right.
Who is over the people that filled in for the Secret Service? The DHS security.
You're saying
Butler.
you're tying back to last summer's attacks on Trump.
I'm tying back to it. I'm just kind of thinking, why would Brennan and Clapper be underneath Mayorkas? Because I don't trust Mayorkas any more than I trust Brennan and Clapper and Comey and all of them. He's just as big of a snake. So anyway, I just had this gut feeling, and I just wanted to share that with you. I'm not saying that there's anything there, but it was weird. So I just thought I'd pass that along to you.
I appreciate that.
All right.
Yeah, thank you so much. This looks like a little longer than something I wanted to cover right now.
Yeah. It's something for you to peruse later.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I'm so thrilled that you're doing better. If you want to support Kimmy, you want to go to givesendgo.com/Kimmy Guy, GUY.
And the reason it's Guy is that was my married name, and when I got divorced, I didn't change it, so that's my legal name.
Oh, so it comes to the bank.
Give and Go needed my legal name. So that's why that's that way.
Okay. No, that's all fine. So anyway, if you guys are interested in supporting her, she's based as hell and has been around me since my early days, and she's just awesome. So we're so glad to hear. When I was a little kid, before the beard was fully gray. Yeah.
When the first time I saw you on Rokita.
Yeah. Wow.
All right. You take care.
Take care. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. So that's 972-454-0703 is the number as we'll see if I'll get into this story. We're going to try. Breaking documents declassified DNI Gabbard show then DNI James Clapper in December 2016 rejecting concerns expressed about the Trump-Russia conclusion, about their conclusions that Trump was related to let's see, this is how it works.
Call from.
This is Dad the Man.
Dad the Man. All my kittens are coming home to roost.
I'll keep it very short. The great news today, the best news.
What's that?
Beyond Meat is declaring Chapter 11.
Who?
Beyond Meat.
Who is that?
They make, you want to guess?
No.
Meat that is not meat. They make lab-grown meat.
Oh, really? Oh, Beyond Meat.
Yeah.
Really? They went Chapter 11. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh no! Oh no! That. How did you find that?
It was on Twitter.
Really?
It's all over Twitter.
That's pretty funny. Beyond Meat has declared Chapter 11. What will they them eat? What will they have?
Oh, there's a bad joke there. There's a really bad joke. I don't want to go. It's as bad as the joke Michael Malice made about
they'll eat their own.
Thrown on the
They'll eat their own plastic parts. Yeah. Wow.
Well, that was the joke that Michael Malice made about the WNBA things thrown on their courts hitting someone in the eye.
Oh, yeah. So you called in to let me know that was a worthwhile call right there. That was worthwhile because I was unaware of that, and to know that there's one less. Were they a significantly large lab meat company? Because I don't know how many there are out there. But all right, well, good for you, my brother. Things going well with you?
Relatively well.
All right. You want to get something off your chest?
No.
All right. Well, I hope that they pick up and they get better. And yeah, I'm going to wish you a great week, and I'm glad to hear from you always, Thad.
Okay.
All right. Have a good night, my brother.
Bye.
So where was we? Oh, I know where we were. Right. So documents declassified by DNI Gabbard show then DNI James Clapper in December 2016 rejecting concerns expressed about the Trump-Russia conclusions by director Mike Rogers. So
Call from
VSync.
To accept, press 1.
VSync?
Yes, sir.
Are you a first-time caller?
No, I called a few months back. Infrequent caller.
Infrequent caller. Hold on 1 second, okay? Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
All right.
No rush.
So documents that were declassified by Tulsi show that Clapper in December 2016 was rejecting concerns. These concerns were expressed by the NSA director Mike Rogers, who's a 4-star admiral, with the statement, "That's our story and we're sticking to it." Clapper also urged Rogers to compromise our normal modalities, saying that we had to get this thing done. Mike, John, Jim, understand your concern. It's essential that we, the CIA, NSA, FBI, and ODNI, be on the same page and are all supportive of the report in the highest tradition of "that's our story and we're sticking to it." This evening, CIA has provided to the NIC the complete draft generated by the ad hoc fusion cell. We will facilitate as much mutual transparency as possible as we complete the report, but more time is not negotiable. We're on the clock. We're on a deadline here. We may have to compromise on our normal modalities since we must do this on such a compressed schedule. So I don't want to hear you complaining. This is one project, a project he calls this, that has to be a team sport. This is a project. Getting this, that he's referring to the intelligence report that concluded that Russia was falsely concluded that Russia was trying to aid Trump in his efforts to win the 2016 election. So this was their project that they had. Unbelievable. How this is a project. It's one project that has to be a team sport. We can't have anyone disagreeing. Why? Why is that? Why can't you have anyone disagreeing? If the whole objective here was to try and give guidance to the incoming presidents that has to deal with Russia, shouldn't there be people expressing their full proper opinions, not be forced to accept whatever's being shoved down their throats and then stamp off, yeah, I agree also, so they can say 17 intelligence agencies came to the same conclusion. Anyone want to hear stories about my time in Key West as a male semi-pro? I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do. All right, VSync, what's on your minds?
Yeah, so love a call-in show. It takes me back to being a kid when listen to talk radio and dream of being a talk radio host. But
nice.
I've called in a few times before. I'm Crunchy Crayons in the chat and Spicy Soapism. So I do trading streams, and then hopefully trying to get some politics streams going. That's the other one. But I just wanted to call on the Beyond Meat thing. They're not lab meat in the sense of Z-bugs. They're made out of peas. So I'm vegetarian. My wife isn't. She loves them. So, but it's pretty funny if you pull up a stock chart over the last couple of years. Like they were up in, I think they got to like $200-300, and now they're like sub $3. But from what I heard, they haven't declared yet. I'm gonna have to check in, but I just needed to. I guess I needed to declare. Yeah.
So we're getting conflicting reports. Is there any protein in Beyond Meat?
Yeah, it's peas. Like literally, like
peas have protein. I don't think of vegetables as having much protein.
Yeah, I mean peanuts are legumes. Peas and peanuts are both legumes. So, and they both have a lot of protein.
Oh.
But yeah, basically Beyond is pea protein. I think there might be some soy. I don't think there's any wheat. And then Impossible is the other one that they have more aggressive like genetic. It's pretty crazy. They like grow some kind of yeasts on
feces,
rhizome roots, and then
feces
make an artificial heme. But none of it is like cow cell, cow fetuses, spliced and diced in petri dishes.
Oh, that's not, no. My issue with it is that it's not meat. My issue is that it's not meat. That's really my issue. That you're listen, Vsync. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
You say you're a vegetarian?
I am. Yeah.
Why are you a how long have you been a vegetarian?
20 years at this point.
20 years. All right, you might be too far gone for me to help you, but I'm going to try.
It's quite possible. It's quite possible.
It's quite possible. It's quite possible.
I will say, if you want to direct ire at something that's there, so
are you vegetarian or vegan?
Vegetarian. No, I'm not vegan. I eat cheese and eggs, and I devour cheese. So
reasons that you became a vegetarian.
I mean, honestly, at the time, a girl was involved, so, but I was never a big meat eater, honestly. So then when I was like, oh, let me try it. Like I was always like, I would eat ground beef, but I never really was into like steaks or anything like that. So, I don't know. And I just kind of felt like if I don't need to kill something, like if it was survival thing, right? Hunting, like, yeah, absolutely. But if it's for,
so when the cannibals come, you will be eating the cows.
There we go. Yeah. Yeah. I will say, if you want to direct your ire at something for a misleading product, one that cracks me up. So they have Beyond Meat. Impossible, I guess, isn't quite as obviously not, but I think both of them, if you read them, they say plant derived, whatever. The big one was this one called Just Egg. And I think they were trying to say, it's like justice or whatever. But the packaging literally said just mayo, just egg. I actually got a letter from the FDA because mayo is federally like designated what's mayo and what's not. And they were saying this is just mayo. They said this is legally not even mayo. And furthermore, you have a picture of an egg on the pack. It was hilarious. And the funniest part was they just ignored the FDA and somehow never got in trouble. So that one always bugged me. I'm a big fan of truth in labeling. I don't know about the other regulations, but if you're going to label it something, you got to be honest weights and measures, right?
I assume you're a skinny guy.
Sadly, no.
Really?
No, need to be. Yeah.
Can I get your height and weight?
6 feet, and then 200. Probably 250 plus right at this point. So
how do you get that big on plants? I
mean, you just eat more or less. I mean, it's like Ricade is the one that was going on about that, right? Look, just eat less, right? That's
right. Close your mouth.
Yeah. No, I mean, plus the carbs and stuff, right? Like bread, you can.
Oh, that's true. That's true. You can
no, it's just for me, a lot of it is just. I've called a couple times before. I called one time a while ago, like things were really tight and stressful, and then called a while ago about married life. We were kicking around ideas on.
Were you the one who had like the whole different trips thing? Was that you?
Maybe. I don't know. We talked about joint accounts and individual accounts and stuff.
Now
but-
I remember. Yeah. I remember
Yeah.
you. I
But,
remember you.
yeah, so I've traded the Beyond Meat stock, and so as soon as people were talking about that, but I've been following it the last couple of weeks. And pull up a chart if you can. Just pull up BYND stock chart. It's going to crack you up.
The what?
But just pull up a stock chart for Beyond Meat, BYND, and it'll crack you up just to see. It's pretty dramatic, no matter what happens with the company. So
I got it here. It's on NASDAQ.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't have too much more. I'll listen for more callers, but love the show as always. And
What the heck?
Yeah, my Crunchy
This thing
Crayons channel. If you want
crashed
to see.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, my Crunchy Crayons channel. I do some stock stuff, and then the Spicy Sophisms one. I'm hoping to do some politics stuff. So if anybody wants to check those out, but yeah,
Oh my God.
I'll probably back in Beyond. I'll probably be in Beyond Meat tomorrow and next week. So we'll see what happens. But I'll be sad if they go, man. I miss them. It's tasty stuff. So
Beyond Meat. I see that they were up almost to 200. They hit 194.
yeah, and my wife.
What
got some
happened?
advice
What
that-
happened to them in 2021 that they crashed?
That was just like a lot of the meme stocks crashed out. Like they were just flying high, and I'd have to go back and see if they had something specifically. But
In July
there were a bunch-
2021.
you heard of GameStop, but there were a lot of others that were just flying high they were just really, really bought it. Roku was another one going crazy.
In
Like
2021, they dropped from 140. They dropped to 31.
yeah. The CEO or somebody bit someone's nose off. I forgot about that. Yeah. So the I think it was the CEO of the hippie, not meat company was doing cannibalism.
Yeah, he probably was really hungry.
Probably. But my wife was like, she got like the doctor suggested she eat less meat. I don't know if they were buying into hippie stuff or whatever. Like, I guess I'll throw stones in my glass house, whatever. But she didn't really do well with a lot of like wheat type stuff or soy. So this was great because it was a different product. But
Wow.
But yeah, the lab meat ones, the Petri dish ones, those are they're trying to come online soon, but they haven't gotten approval anywhere as far as I know.
All right,
I saw
brother.
a picture of one the other day from the UK. It looked like a filet mignon steak in a dish. So they say they're ready to go, supposedly, but I don't know.
Don't. It's not meant for you. It's not meant for you. It's meant for they, them. Don't.
Exactly.
Just don't.
Anyway.
Have a good
but
night, my
none of
brother.
these are debugs. I just figured.
None of them are right. Well, while we're there, also don't eat the bugs. Don't eat the bugs. Don't eat the lab meat. Just don't.
Or noses.
Just don't.
Don't eat any noses.
I'm not adding that into my nightly deal. No. Have a good night,
All right.
brother. Take care. Oh my gosh. Whew. I wanted to cover with you guys also. There was news about Act Blue that I had a report I wanted to share with you guys about Act Blue. An investigation into Act Blue is commencing. And I had that story here that I wanted to share with you. Another side story I wanted to throw out at you guys while the phone line is open, 972-454-0703. So I got to find that link real fast here because it's hiding, and I'm just going to have to recreate it really quick. The Act Blue thing. Where's the Act Blue thing? Where's the Act Blue? Act Blue. Act. It was one of the first things I did today. That's crime. Harry Enton. Here it is. Act Blue investigation. It's pretty short. President Trump dropped a bombshell by directing the DOJ to launch a full-scale investigation into Act Blue, Democratic Party's powerhouse fundraising platform, over allegations of widespread election fraud. Here with the report on a Fox News alert that I will only share through X.
Meanwhile, President Trump is directing the Justice Department to investigate Act Blue. This is a Democratic donation platform, and the focus as the allegation.
If you're unfamiliar with the way campaign funding works, so they basically have the major funnel for Democratic Party is Act Blue. For the Republicans, it's Win Red. So Act Blue is notorious. There have been several reports that have been done by OMG. That's James O'Keefe's his entity that he formed after he left Project Veritas, which have exposed so much corruption going on with Act Blue. No, specifically, the way this corruption has been going on. Well, let's hear this report first, and then we'll talk more about this.
About illegal straw donors and foreign contributions. Mark Meredith is live in Washington with more. This has been brewing for a while, Mark. What do we need to know?
Dana, for years, you're right about this, but this is a big development. The White House is directing the Attorney General to investigate the Democratic Party's top fundraising platform. It's called Act Blue, and the president says he wants to know if foreign money is being donated to the group and then utilized to sway elections. Democrats are calling this probe a dangerous abuse of power. Act Blue is an enormous operation in Democratic politics. It's raised more than $16 billion since 2004. You may have seen the text pop up from candidates saying, please donate, go to the Act Blue website. Republicans use something similar called Win Red. There was a new memo signed on Thursday directing the Attorney General to investigate if foreign nationals are using.
I would no sooner donate to Win Red than I would to Act Blue. If you like a particular candidate, donate to them. But they're run by the heads of their party. We saw how cocaine Mitch McConnell was funneling prime funds from Win Red to neocons to help them win primaries over MAGA, and that can happen at any time. So if you like a particular candidate, you feel inclined to donate to them, I say go for it. It's your money, you earned it, spend it how you like. I would strongly urge you not to waste your money on Win Red, where it's going to just end up going to. Now, some of them will say I think that you can go through Win Red or Act Blue and aim it in a particular direction, like they have that capacity. And so if that's the only way you can donate to your candidate, so I understand, but make sure that it's getting where you think it's going, not that it's just going to Win Red in general. Or Act Blue. Get to your candidate.
Using the Act Blue platform to bypass campaign finance laws. Trump wants a report out in 6 months.
So there you go. So he's asking for an investigation that's supposed to come out within the next 6 months. So we'll see if there's any actual prosecution there. But part of their scheme has been that they will basically create multiple tiny donations, which has to be done by a computer program. Someone has to have created this sort of computer program where they'll give $3.28 and $7.14. And they'll take someone who's donated once or twice and have them, preferably an old person who's not following their account. And they'll basically mark that they got more and more money from them, that they got like 10 donations a day. People who are living, on WIC, who are donating $30,000, $40,000 collectively over the course of a year, or even $10,000, $12,000. People who actually one time gave $12 to Act Blue. What they do is they collect the information on the person, and that way they can say this person donated the money, and they should reflect that money was donated by person A when it wasn't coming from person A. That person didn't pay the money. Then they'll throw in some other person who gave it, and they'll have thousands of folks like this, probably tens of thousands of folks like this, who are each giving many thousand, who are each giving in name, but they don't even know that it's happening, and they're not actually giving the money. So it's just recorded that Mary O. Smith from Bumble, Ohio, gave multiple donations per day, per week, per month, per year, totaling, each of them being for like less than $20, totaling $10,000, and that'll be her. And then they'll have potentially thousands of these Mary O'Connell or whatever it is, and they'll say, so collectively that is now reflecting that they got these legitimate contributions from all the different Mary O'Rourke's of the world, and totaling $7 million, when in reality they're getting $7 million from like Syria, from the Arab League, from AIPAC, from from various foreign countries, from George Soros, from different entities that are not allowed to give them money, from various countries. So they basically will get money from them. In order to mask it, they try and make it look like it's coming from the Mary O'Reillys of the world, when in reality, it's not coming from Americans. And that's foreign influence, where they're basically trying to influence these different candidates. That's what the assumption is. What I've just given you is what is believed to be what's happening. Why do I say that's believed to be what's happening? It's because we know that there have been reports about payments which make absolutely no sense. And when James O'Keefe has gone down to these houses, these people, and say, "Have you given this much money?" They're like, "No." You want to check your bank records, see whether maybe it got pulled out? They're like, "Doesn't look like it got pulled out." So it's just showing on Act Blue's records as if those donations came from these tiny mom and pop folks, these grandmas and grandpas, and basically saying that they gave all this money that they never gave. It was given, and they're alleged to have given those monies. And the assumption is that they basically are trying to use that information in order to mask massive donations that are coming from other people that are illegal donations, to try and circle around campaign finance restrictions. And that's potentially highly illegal. That they're trying to circumvent that, hey, we're really bought and paid for by country A or company B, and instead try and make it look as if this is all organic. Oh, it's all organic. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. This is all organic, as Bernie Sanders would say. When in reality, it ain't. So if they can seize their assets, in theory, it could cripple the Democrat Party. It could really have a very serious impact on their ability to operate, because there's so much of what they do gets funneled directly through Act Blue. That's what it is, smurfing. I think you've all been saying the word smurf a lot. So, smurfing. All right, no one's calling. Is my phone line open? Maybe I should fix that. Maybe I should fix that. Joe, maybe I should fix that. I'll do a quick round. I'll do a quick circle around to make sure that I didn't miss anything. Don't think I did. When I started tonight, I wasn't planning on going 3 hours. It was, hold on a second, I know where I'll find you. Didn't plan on that. Saved by the bell.
Call from
Dick Parker.
Vic.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Victor.
Hey, man. How's it going?
I'm good. How you doing?
All right, man. I want to apologize for that last time I called in. I was a little intoxicated.
That happens sometimes. Are you better tonight?
Yeah.
All right.
I sent you a link on and vocals.
Did you?
Yeah. Just recently. I don't know. It's a message to your page there.
Was it like you're saying a DM you sent me?
I'm not good at this.
A direct message you sent me?
I don't know. I posted it. I copied on your Good Logic locals.
Okay, on the main feed there for everyone to see.
Yeah, probably showed to you.
Okay, what's it about?
It's about this guy from Saudi Arabia makes a statement about. I know you probably don't like talking about Israel.
No, I'm good with it. Go ahead. What do you got?
He gives he dishes out some pretty harsh stuff about what they should do with the Palestinians.
Oh.
It's pretty brutal.
All right. All right. Well, I see here. Oh, it's Dick Parker. Is that who it is?
Yeah, and this is Dick Parker. Yeah.
Oh.
One of my favorite things to do on.
I see. It's a 12-minute video. Saudi Arabia sends brutal message. That's what
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, I didn't recognize you. I gave you the name Dick Parker. You were Richard Parker, and
you did.
And I gave you the name Dick Parker.
Yeah, you did.
Which is like way better.
I had a buddy that he actually came up with that before you, and
I'm sure.
One of my favorite things to do on this channel.
It was staring in the face. face.
Yeah, I go by my middle name, so I never use Richard, but.
Mm-hmm. So Saudi Arabia was basically saying that they should destroy the Palestinians?
Yes. He said they should do us all a favor. He said they cause trouble wherever they go.
All right, hold on a second. Okay, now I want to check this out. Let's see what we got.
Was giving a platform to the Arabs who woke up to the bullshit of the pro-Palestine side.
Funny.
You can't hear it.
Today we have exactly that.
I'm playing it now.
No, I got muted the TV. I don't know if I was going to get feedback or not.
Oh yeah. See, and you can't hear it through the phone when I'm playing it here. All right, I'll check out the first couple of minutes of it. I don't know how long I'm going to stick with it because I'm already at the 3-hour mark here. But I'll check it out. Was there anything else you wanted me to cover, or is there...
No, man. It's good hearing from you. Good, enjoy your show, man.
I appreciate you coming by, my brother.
Okay. Have a good evening.
Have a good night, my friend.
Bye.
All right, let's see what we got here.
I'm Tal the Traveling Cloud, your favorite Zionist prince. Let's take a look at this clip from an Arab who, and this is a real Arab from Saudi Arabia. It's coming on Twitter, who's actually going to expose the bullshit of the pro-Palestine side.
ما السعودية ما بقى شيء ما أعطتكم إياه، حتى دولة أسست لكم دولة، الملك فهد. يوم ريغان يطلب منه تمويل سوار الكونترا قال له وحدة بوحدة أبي دولة الفلسطين، قال له أبشر. ووقع الخطاب دولة الفلسطين، وعلم الملك فهد عرفات إنه حصلنا دولة فلسطينية. هرب عرفات ما شافوه إلا بعد 10 سنين من هالكلام هذا. هرب ما يبي دولة فلسطينية. كلكم ما تبون دولة فلسطينية لأن أساساً ما لكم قضية ولا لكم دولة ولا لكم أرض. هذه أرض إسرائيل بالقرى، وأنتم شتات رومان ملفقين، مغول وتركمان وشركس وأرمن وغجر. ما لكم حق بفلسطين. فلسطين هذه دولة إسرائيلية لبني إسرائيل، وبني إسرائيل لمعلوميتكم بني إسرائيل هذولا عيال إسحاق، وحنا يا العرب عيال إسماعيل، وإسحاق وإسماعيل أخوين أبوهم إبراهيم عليه السلام، يعني هذولا عيال عمنا. لكن أنتم منين جيتوا؟
It's true what he just said. We believe that too. Abraham had 2 sons, Ishmael and Isaac, and that we come from Isaac and Arabs come from Ishmael.
أنتم وش دخلكم بالموضوع؟ أنتم يا الشتات يا الغجر يا المغول يا التركمان يا الشركس يا الرومان يا بقايا الشعوب. إيش دخلكم بالموضوع؟ إيش دخلكم بالسالفة؟ إيش دخلكم بيننا؟ هذا بني إسرائيل على أرضهم، ما لكم أرض أنتم ولا لكم قضية يا جماعة. أنتم أدوختونا واشغلتونا. والأقصى الأقصى لمعلوميتك ما عندكم أقصى، ما في شيء اسمه أقصى، في شيء اسمه القدس. المسجد الأقصى اللي ورد ذكره هو بالجعرانة 29 كيلو على الطائف.
Whoa, I didn't know that. I gotta ask my dad about that. He's saying the Al-Aqsa Mosque that they're saying is referenced in Quran. He's saying is a different location than what they're saying than the one that's in Jerusalem.
وكان المسجدين المسجد الأقصى والمسجد الأدنى. المسجد الأقصى حقكم بناه الشام عام 72 هجري. كيف يسرى محمد له وهو مبني عام 72 للهجرة؟
Nice.
يعني بعد وفاة محمد ب60 سنة. تضحكون على مين أنتم؟ تضحكون على مين؟ الفلسطيني. أنت ما أنت عربي.
أوبا.
ولا لك أرض ولا لك قضية.
أوبا.
الأرض أرض إسرائيل.
واو.
قضية إسرائيل معكم. كان إسحاق شامير ورابين وشارون وجولدا مائير الثاني والله ما ادري شو اسمه. هذول كانوا ابطال تدري ولا لا؟ لكن نتنياهو جبان، لان نتنياهو ما حركهم، ما ادري وش يبي بهالاسلحه مكدسها عنده. يا ادمي يا نتنياهو احرق هالعصابات هذه وهالشتات وهالملفقين وريح نفسك وريح العالم منهم وريحنا احنا منهم.
I don't agree with that.
ليش مخليهم؟
Wow. I don't think you should do that either. I agree with this guy up here, not the speaker.
ليش فتح لهم الحدود يهاجرون؟ ان راحوا للاردن سووا ويلول الاسود، وان راحوا للكويت انهبوه يوم صدام احتله، انهبوه يلبسون لبس الجيش العراقي وينهبوه. الخسه والنذاله والحقاره ما يتركونها، هذه تربيتهم وهذا دمهم وهذا عرقهم. ليش ما تريح العالم منهم يا نتنياهو اذا انت رجال وبطل؟ ها؟ الله يلعنكم ويلعن حتى نتنياهو اللي ما خلصنا منكم. لان نتنياهو تارك لكم الحبل على الغارب. والمفروض نتنياهو هو اللي يأدبكم وهو اللي يخلص العالم من شروركم. انتم شر في اي دوله تحطون فيها يا الفلسطينيين. شر منزل ولا بكم رجل. انا مستعد انام عند يهودي ولا انام عند فلسطيني. انا مستعد اقلط يهودي في بيتي واغديه واوكله واشربه ورقده ولا ادخل فلسطيني في بيتي. والسلام عليكم ورحمه الله.
Wow.
Holy fuck. Holy shit. I think I may have been seen bits of this clip, but I don't think I ever saw it in its entirety because I guess it was cut because of some of the extremist shit that the guy says. We've got a lot to unpack here. Are you ready? This is what I talk about all the time, but now you're going to...
Wow. Yeah, the stuff he says about the Quran and what their teachings are, I don't know. As far as where they come from, Palestinians, I do question whether they're Arab by blood, like he questions. I don't know, but they certainly seem to come from everywhere in 1917. So whether they're technically Arab as in being like sons of Ishmael, I don't know. Because, when you're living in the region there, you all start looking the same. That's what ends up happening. People don't realize that climate and region has a distinct impact on facial features and skin complexion in ways that are just that make you end up looking like the people of your region. The reason for our genetic differences are because of the various regions of the world that we're hailing from. And then over time, it slowly morphs. Not because of blood necessarily, but I've seen people who just get darker over time. And I have a friend who actually just bumped into for the first time in decades the other night at the wedding, who, he spent some time in the Middle East when he was like young, and his skin is already like, he looks like a Middle Eastern guy. He's like as European as anyone else. And the rest of his family is like really white. And you see pictures of a baby, he's like really white. And just like by living in Israel for like a decade, he ended up like basically, he looks like swarthier than you can possibly imagine. Region has a very dramatic impact. So yeah, if someone what I'm saying is this: you could be Irish, you move to the Middle East, and you can have a whole clan of Irish people move to the Middle East. They would still be Irish 10 generations later, but they'll look like Arabs. Even if they start off as redheads, it's just the way it goes. Anyhow, now I'm not saying this particular Palestinian or that one is an Arab or not an Arab. I don't know. Heck, what I know, but I'm just saying that it's all his claim as far as like a blood right, which is like to hear a Saudi launching off on it. That was pretty wild. Anyway, I think it's time for me to start wrapping up. I think it's time for me to start landing the plane. I don't know if there's going to be laid back law tomorrow. I don't know, only because I was the only one who checked in as being available. So I didn't see anyone else say yes. But when I said I'm available, all I got was an awesome from Eric. And so if it's there, I'll be there. If it's not, I guess I'll see you guys next week. Anyway, I hope you all have a phenomenal week, and I thank you so much for joining me. Like I said, I may be doing Layback Law tomorrow, may not. You'll have to, if I am, you'll get notifications at goodlogic.locals.com. That's goodlogic.locals.com, goodlogic.locals.com. I am going to try and do a show on locals over the weekend, so I'll give you a heads up on that. I would have done a show tonight, but wasn't sure how to break it up. So instead, I plan on doing one over the weekend on locals at goodlogic.locals.com. That should be probably Saturday night, Sunday, somewhere around there. And that's where you'll find it. Also, if you're interested in the Fantasy Football League, or just come check it out. We have a great time over there. A lot of healthy competition going on over there. I hope you all have a phenomenal weekend. Have a good night. And as always, Godspeed. Oh, wait. Spicy sophisms. Never forgot. What do you think about the FDA cracking down on natural bovine porcine thyroid supplements? Anything on that? Yeah. I don't have enough of an opinion. I don't have enough of an opinion on it to really weigh in on it. So, yeah. Night. Godspeed.